Welcome to Two Chicks and a Horror Flick, a weekly horror movie review podcast. I'm Tawny Ray.
And I'm Felicia Connor. Subscribe to get new episodes every Wednesday. We dive into trivia, drink a little whiskey, and of course, give our no BS opinions.
Join our Discord server or message us on social media to talk all things scary.
And if you like the show, consider supporting us on Patreon.
You can find all these links on our website, twochicksandahorrorflick.com. Thanks for listening.
Now let's get scared. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We're super excited today because we have very special guests. We have the BVK, or Bev's Video Kingdom podcast, joining us today. And we were actually on 2 of their episodes. It was so much fun. We were on High Tension and the draft for most memorable scary scene in a non-horror movie. So definitely go check those out. But welcome, everybody.
Ooh, thanks for having us.
One of our most controversial drafts of all time, and you guys were right in the middle of it, and we appreciated it.
I don't think one of. I described it. I think it was about 10 times as controversial as any other.
I was wondering.
Very controversial.
It was pretty contentious. Yeah.
I was grumpy that day.
But one thing that's not contentious is we're super excited to be on the Two Chicks pod. Thank you so much for inviting us, you guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Yes.
We're glad that all of you wanted to come and do this. So, because we weren't sure if we were going to get all of you. We thought it might just be Zach.
None of us was going to let any of the other ones go without us. This was we had too good a time when you guys came on ours.
I just don't have a life. I was just sitting around waiting to do something, so I'm glad to be invited.
You guys could have picked a scarier movie, and there would have been like a couple less of us, I think, for sure.
That's a fact.
Yeah, we had so much fun on your podcast. Okay, before we learn more about you and what you guys have got going on, we just want to mention that we have a new patron. So we want to say thank you so much to Bill, and it's Bill X Russell on Instagram. He is an actor, and he said what he wanted us to share is he dies in the opening scene of the new Puppet Master movie, Dr. Death.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's sick.
Yeah. I'm gonna go watch him die.
I hope he means just like metaphorically, like he's watching it and he's just like that scene just kills him.
No, they needed the paddles. They brought him back, but he was out about 45 seconds.
That is awesome.
Yes. Cool. So thank you, Bill, so much. We appreciate you.
Yes, thank you for your support.
Yes, thank you for your support. All right, BVK, tell us about you, your pod, all of that.
So we're a bunch of really old friends from a small town. We've been hanging out a long time, and we're movie fans, but not anywhere near cinephiles. So you're going to get with the Bev's Video Kingdom podcast, you're going to get a lot of really amateur takes on movies that we like. So it's kind of a round table. We have some categories and some cool bumper music because our boy Scott here is a musician. And Zach has a great voice, so we've got some cool. It's got a like flow to it and a structure to it. But at the end of the day, it's really just kind of like we just sit around outside and drink beer and whiskey and talk about movies until the things go off the rails.
What's funny is that we're all like really versed and like really like smart in a lot of categories. Movies is not one of them for any of us. And then we decided let's make a podcast where we expound about movies, which is pretty awesome.
I disagree. From listening to just a handful of your episodes, I'm like, these motherfuckers know a lot about movies. I was intimidated even to come on because I thought we had to do the draft and I was like, I don't know as many movies as these guys. So
yeah, you're misunderstanding. We've seen a lot of movies, but we watch them kind of like, durr. That was cool. Oh man, I really felt that made me feel good. Yeah.
It's actually one of the best things about our pod is the way that all of us watch movies completely different. Like I like to watch movies by myself with the lights off, trying to get the mood. Nate likes to watch them on his Apple Watch and then get about 5 minutes in and then switch over to his iPad and then maybe watch it on his phone while driving, and like it gets wild.
Allegedly.
Brad likes to drag all of his kids in to watch all the movies with him. Scott watches by himself out at the cantina and freaks himself out even if it's not even a scary movie. It's pretty awesome.
Just picturing you trying to watch a movie on your Apple Watch. It's just epic.
He's not even joking.
Awesome.
It's not really the Apple Watch per se, so much it is like I watch, like I got a lot going, so it's like I want to watch the movie, but I can't do it all in one sitting ever. So it's like, okay, I got to pause. I go, to the grocery store. I'm pushing the cart. I've got the phone up watching. Okay, I'm back in the car here now. I got the Apple Watch on the wheel. I mean, it's we got to make it happen, right? So.
Something else that you kind of talked about earlier, something else we do is, so one week we talk about the movie, and then the following week we do a draft episode. And so we'll take a subject kind of based on the movie, like you mentioned, so we did what was it, scariest
most memorable scary scene in a non-horror movie.
Horror movie, yeah. So kind of based on the movie that we talked about before that, and like we've done that before with like a certain actor that's in a movie, like Good Will Hunting. We did that movie, and then we did like most memorable Will Damon characters or whatever.
Will Damon's one of my favorites.
He's so.
I like Will Damon too.
Outstanding.
See how dumb we are. So anyway. Matt Damon.
I loved him in Terminator 2.
Matt Damon. So anyway, so that's something that we really love to do. It's super fun to because we'll select our teams, and then we'll have a guest judge on. You guys are the guest judge for that episode, and then so that's something. When I started with this podcast, I was actually the first judge, so I wasn't actually one of the co-hosts, and I loved how serious you guys took your role.
Yes.
You guys just absolutely seized the opportunity. You had, all your points and everything. And I really appreciated you taking it seriously, because that just makes it so much more fun. We've had a couple judges that were like, oh, well, they won, and it wasn't really in the weeds as far as who won and whatever. So I really appreciate it.
I think Felicia said freely at the beginning of the pod, she was like, oh, we really like ranking things.
We take it real seriously.
Like rankings.
Yeah. Our listeners will know. Like, it is a very serious thing. Anytime we got to rate or judge something, so we took it serious.
I get so stressed.
You guys sent us like a little piece of paper with a bunch of different bullet points on it, and one of them said, we're gonna rank the movie 1 through 5, and you can use up to 2 decimal points.
I love that. I was so fired up.
I was like, okay, all right.
I can't wait to go 0.38.
I
spent like 20.
I had to fight for that because Tawny was like, no, just the full number. And I'm like, no, Tawny, please. So I got 1 decimal point, and then I got 2, and then that was it, since she let me have it.
Okay. You're really mischaracterizing this. I have always been okay with the 2 decimal points. No. Felicia just likes to think in her head that I have it's just funny. It's just funny. And so I always laugh when she does it. I don't have a problem with it, but I do refuse to go to a 10-point scale. That's not okay. That's the thing that we've, differed on.
Cross the line.
I too like to have arguments with someone that is not having an argument with me.
Yeah.
I'd like to just I can't believe Tawny won't let me have 2 decimal places. She's like, you didn't even ask me. Yeah, exactly.
I think I did one where I was like 4.38, and she went, this bitch, what are you doing? Because we were doing like 2.5, like that. Yeah. And then I went, and she's like, oh, motherfucker. But maybe that didn't happen, but I think it did.
That happened, yeah.
Okay.
I spent all day today trying to decide which way I was going to go with my 0.125 rating. I'm like, do I round up like I should, or do I just drop that 5?
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Well, I didn't say what the whole number was. I'm just talking. Hey, I thought we were just talking decimals here.
Decimal points.
Oh my God, this is awesome. All right, it's already so much fun. I'm excited. All right, so here's what we can do, or here's what we'd like to do. We'd love to go by person. So tell us your name, what you're drinking, and your favorite movie genre. So it doesn't have to be horror, just your favorite movie genre in general. And let's go ahead. I'm just going to start. Now I feel like I'm in meeting mode, like Zoom meeting mode for work. I'm going to start at the top of my screen, and let's have Nate go first.
Okay, I'm double fisting. I've got the Brothers Bond bourbon that Scott pulled out of a grab bag at a liquor store, which is pretty awesome. So I've got that with my BVK custom ice cube here in one, and then my signature Diet Pepsi and grenadine in the other. So that's my common double fist. So I'm Nate. My favorite genre. How specific do you want it? I probably would say comedies. But once you get a little more specific, I'm kind of like a coming-of-age teen movie guy.
Okay.
That's my wheelhouse. So coming of age movies generally, and probably in the like late teen, early 20s range is my my go-to. Is that too specific? That's kind of
No,
No,
that's,
that's
I mean,
great.
I was going to say romantic comedy guy, but
Yeah.
okay.
I have a question about that bourbon. Is that the Ian Somerhalder bourbon?
that's
Got a signature on the
Would
bottom.
it say his name on it?
What does that say?
I don't know. I think it's the one that he did with his.
I can't read that.
You guys, this is my guilty watch, Vampire Diaries, with his co-star.
Are we drinking Vampire Diary?
You might be.
we-
You might
Oh
be.
God, I
even
love
know it.
this. This is amazing.
And
Apropos.
I have always
doesn't-
wanted to try it. So
It doesn't really say anything about that on the bottle. I can't read the signatures. They're all scribbled like doctors'
oh,
hands.
They're vampires, not doctors.
Somebody with a modern computer. Let's Google this.
Yeah, if only we could look something up like that.
Someplace
Who do you
someplace
ask?
where we get quick
Who do we
information.
ask?
is it good? How's the bourbon?
It's actually really tasty.
good, yeah.
I'm drinking it as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait, wait. Tell me the name again. It's
Ian Somerhalder. It's like
that's absolutely. So it's Ian and Paul something.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is. Yeah. Let me see if I can get the signatures sufficient.
So
there
yeah,
you
so
go.
we didn't tell you guys, but we
Ian.
brought that on because of the vampire theme.
Yeah,
of
we
the,
You
did.
knew.
episode.
Yeah.
100%
Totally.
planned.
You knew.
So clever.
Yeah.
That's how we plan on BVK.
Sometimes we like to sandbag it like that. You know.
Super into hot vampires.
Way to
It's
go.
like kind of my thing. Yeah.
Way to go.
So good. Okay,
Who's next on the Zoom watch face? I'm excited.
Brad.
Yo, my name is Brad, and I am drinking the Wise Man, which is some Kentucky Owl bourbon, and it's really damn tasty.
It's actually Robert Pattinson's.
I was just gonna say, is it
He's the
Twilight
wise man.
bourbon?
It is Twilight bourbon. No, it's I don't know. It's just Kentucky Owl, the Wiseman. I got it in a grab bag too, and just a real quick story. Y'all are whiskey drinkers, so we have a little local liquor store in the town I live in, and they do. It's a $200 grab bag, and you get between 3 and 5 bottles of bourbon, and you're always going to get at least $200 worth. And sometimes they'll throw in a little something special, where all of a sudden you got a $150 bottle with your other bottles as well. So it's a cool little deal from the liquor store, and that's where this came from. So
Oh, that's
I'm drinking
cool.
this because I got it in a grab bag.
Yeah.
Yummy.
Nice. All right. Who has Lost Boys bourbon? I can't wait.
Wait, and your favorite genre? You didn't do
Oh,
genre?
yeah, your genre.
Oh, my favorite genre is I'm sports movies and dumb comedies. I'm like Naked Gun, Airplane, Encino Man, Strange Brew. Those are like my wheelhouse. I like stupid stuff that I used to watch with my dad and my brother, so that's what I grew up with, and that's kind of my sense of humor. Monty Python, the Christopher Guest movies, all that stuff is just, that's right in my...
He really likes
funny
the
bone.
Shaun of the Dead guy.
Oh, yeah. Edgar Wright for sure, Shaun of the Dead, all that stuff.
Would you
That's my...
would,
what's up?
Would you consider Kung Pao Enter the Fist a stupid?
I have seen that, and it's it's a little dumb, and I do like it. It is fun.
We have a
So-
guy
One of
that
my
has
faves.
reached out on social media that
Yeah.
has asked numerous times. He was like, "Can you guys do Kung Pao?" And we didn't respond to him. And then like a
it's 'cause
few weeks
that's a
later,
friend
he
of
was
mine.
like, "Oh, you know that
Yeah, I
guy?
know
oh,
him,
I
yeah.
didn't know we knew that guy." I was like, "Holy crap, this guy really wants us to do Kung Pao."
Yeah.
He really does. He really does. But I talked to him offline. I sent him a text like, dude, have you even listened to our podcast? Because I don't think he has.
Oh.
I think
even
he's just-
better.
He's just waiting for us to do that episode. I was like,
That's how we're gonna get. That's how we're gonna gain that one fan.
Yeah.
When we get to
Awesome.
999 fans, we're
There you
doing
go.
Kung Pao.
There you go.
Yes.
Oh, get over that hump. Yeah, so that's my movie genres. I'm not like the romantic comedy guy. I like dramas. I mean, I like a lot of different types of movies, but I want to laugh.
Brad
I
likes
wanna be
weird. Brad prefers weird over all else.
silly. I think is the key word. Silly, not necessarily weird.
I would say off the beaten path. Sometimes maybe just garbage. I mean,
One
I-
person's garbage is another person's treasure. That's what the fucking saying is. I don't know.
I like all those movies that you guys are mentioning. I think some of my favorite comedies are like Wedding Crashers. I just remember watching Wedding Crashers and laughing so hard I was crying every time I watch it. All right.
The first half of that movie is excellent.
So good.
You like it? Okay, cool. Everyone got real quiet,
good
so I
one.
thought they were just like, what the fuck is
we
she
did
talking
Wedding Crashers
about?
on this.
We-
I was just deciding if
We
I
were
should.
about to cancel you.
I was saying if I should be offended that you put Wedding Crashers, one of my favorite movies, into the garbage pile that Brad just mentioned of comedies.
We're like, he likes garbage movies. She's
I'm
like,
yeah, like Wedding Crashers. I'm judging.
No.
I'm judging you to think they're the same.
No, I did not think that was a garbage movie. That's why I did it. I hesitated when I brought it up, but all right.
Oh, we love that.
We love it.
Scott.
Oh, Scott.
Me. All right. I'm Scotch or Scott, whatever you want to call me. And I am drinking also the vampire juice that Nate mentioned earlier. I got it in the grab bag. I got a nice bottle of Blanton's in my grab bag, which was kind of nice.
Notice you didn't bring that.
I didn't bring that.
Asshole.
That's my house. So I also brought a bottle of Larceny as well that I might get into just because I want to taste it because I got that in the grab bag as well. So and as far as genres, kind of like Brad, I love silly comedies. I love to put on movies that I've seen a bunch of times in the background and just it's like a nice warm blanket and just I love to watch just and not watch them at all, just be on my phone and just have these like Back to School is one of my favorite things I put on. Real Genius, it's old 80s just amazing movies that I love and I don't necessarily like horror, but something that Nate and I have talked about before is I'm fascinated by horror. And I've actually gone on Wikipedia and read the synopsis of a lot of horror movies because I don't actually want to watch them and be scared. But I kind of want to know what happens. And it's just a weird little habit. And it's actually one of the reasons why I love your guys' podcast so much because I can listen to your pod and I get all the spoilers. I don't really care. And I
Nice.
hear about it. And it's super fun. And a quick little story. I was listening to your Halloween 3 pod that you guys dropped a couple weeks ago. And I was listening. And I was like, man, something about this is familiar. And as you were talking about the mask and melting on that kid's head or whatever. And I was at a party with some buddies of mine in Southern California like about a month and a half ago. And I wasn't paying attention to this conversation, but all of a sudden I heard one of the guys say, I was the first kid that dies in Halloween 3.
Oh, shit.
And so Brad Schachter is his name. He was the kid. Buddy was his character. And I watched that scene after I heard him talking about it because I was curious. And so I saw the whole crazy scene where they're in the lab and he puts the mask on. Bugs come out of his head or whatever. And so, yeah, I was like, holy crap, that guy. So that guy, Brad Schachter, is now, I think he was trying to be a stand-up comedian for a while. And he's also a rabbi.
Oh, cool.
Which is kind of cool. So anyway, but yeah, I just thought it was funny because I was like, as I was listening to your pod, I was like, why is this ringing a bell? And then that whole story came to mind. And so anyway.
Wow,
That is
that's
so
crazy.
cool. That's so cool.
Is that the theme of the night? Just people who have died in movies, like I
don't know
died in this movie.
I don't know how it came up in the conversation. Like I said, I wasn't even listening. I was talking to another friend of mine. I just heard that I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Hey, I died in Hamlet in my my senior year play.
Oh, see?
I've heard about that. It's legendary.
That's legendary. Okay, so you go by Scotch too. I was referring to you as Scotch, but then it sounded like your whole crew was calling you Scott, and so then I didn't know what to say.
Either way, Scotch is a nickname that I got from a buddy of mine. Actually, he judged one of our episodes too. The original song, our buddy Dave came on. He gave me that nickname. I walked into a party one time. I was holding the bottle of Scotch, and he's like, "Hey, look, Scotch Beck," and so it kind of stuck. And so yeah, that's either one, Scotch.
We call him Scooter.
Scooter.
I wasn't going to bring this up, but because you gave me a perfect in, I really have to say that I did listen to this episode, and I just want to say that Scotty Doesn't Know was the best pick, in my opinion, on that list because it was the only one that
Thank you.
I knew outside. Like, I didn't even know the rest of the songs. And I was like, I can't believe that wasn't the top. Like, it just should have gotten more points. So
That lost me the draft. That pick right there
I
lost
know.
me the draft, and it shouldn't have.
Way early, man.
you were robbed.
Way early.
You were robbed, dude.
Thank you, Tony.
He went too early, Tony.
It was a
He went
great
too
pick.
early.
It was a reach. Bad strategy.
You guys don't know shit.
I have to say, I really loved your music, and I bought your album today. And so here's the thing. I bought it and downloaded it and then listened to it on Spotify because I didn't know how to use iTunes. I didn't know how to use the thing. I got it.
Double dipping. I love it.
And then I just went to Spotify.
I don't blame anybody. So scotchbeck.com if anybody's curious about my music. But I really appreciate you purchasing it. And I tell people that all the time. Hey, if you want to give me some money, that's great. Download it. But it's a pain in the ass to download because it gives you like the individual files, I think, off the website, which there's no other way to do it.
I bought the freaking CD, dude.
You bought the CD.
I
which
don't
is great.
even own a CD player.
Yeah, I didn't know
just
how
have
I
the
saw
CD.
that option, but I didn't know where I would put it anymore with the CD.
But it has to be just like a coaster, like a conversation piece or something.
But I do appreciate that you purchased it, and then just listen on Spotify, and then I'll get fractions of pennies
Yes.
on top of that.
My
So,
favorite
even better.
one so far
Even
is
better.
Always You. I love that one. But
Oh,
everybody
thank you.
definitely go
Thank you.
check it out. All right. Zach, you are up.
So, I'm Zach. I'm drinking the light beer. Nate's got 2 different types of beer on the keg here at the Casa, and I'm going with the lighter of the 2, just in the interest of I have to drive myself home at some point. And my favorite.
So do I.
That didn't stop
It's Blaker
Brad.
Brewing.
Yeah.
Blaker,
Yeah.
the little brewery right down the road from us in Ceres, California, Blaker Brewing has a honey bee, which is
Honey
tasty.
babies.
Honey baby, yeah. It's a light lager. It's very good.
Oh, sounds good.
So my favorite types of movies are right in line with the Horror Chicks pod. I've listened to a couple episodes now. I really dig it, and I like scary movies. I like thrillers. I like sadness. I just that's what I'm into. I like bleak, sad endings.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Kind of my thing.
Welcome.
To the crew.
So any of the pods that we've done that are horror, so you've done like Ready or Not, High Tension, and Hereditary.
Yeah.
So those are all his picks, obviously, and so he's
All of our lowest listened podcasts are the ones that I pick. I'm always like, oh, let's do this scary movie, and then everyone's like, nope, not gonna watch that one.
It's either that or Manchester by the Sea. You're
Yeah,
like,
well.
we can do that next too.
Yeah.
We can depress people if you want, dude. There's a couple ways to depress people. That movie does it one way.
I love it.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for having us. We're stoked. What are you guys drinking?
Yeah, Tawny, what are you drinking?
Okay, I'll go first. I went to the liquor store and got a very relevant bourbon called Fistful of Bourbon, because the movie we're talking about is considered a neo-Western horror, which is probably the first one of that we've done. Well, I don't know, maybe not actually, but I was like, I want to just get something that, applies. So here we are, I'm drinking that, and Felicia yelled at me for having an ice cube in it earlier, so now I'm just drinking it neat.
Oh, shit.
wow, what
So
a
here,
embarrass,
no.
Felicia.
No. So this is a fight you think we had that we didn't have, because you just said, how do I store ice in my room and so I can continually put ice? And I said, you got to learn how to drink it neat so you don't have to worry about that, is what I said.
That's true.
So you're
Point
She yelled at me.
passive aggressive.
She yelled at
True.
her. I chewed her out.
Super passive aggressive.
I just needed to hydrate. That's why I put an ice cube in mine.
Oh, so
That's a
funny.
strategy. That's a fucking strategy right there.
Yeah, I like it. Tawny,
What
I
are you
love
drinking, Felicia?
I am drinking Booker's Little Book. I just went to my husband and I said, "Can you
Ooh.
give me one that's fancy?" And so it's Booker's Little Book bourbon. Neat. It's very, very good. And I agree with you, Zach. I love all the movies you all mentioned. I love all kinds of movies. But I have to say, if they're disturbing and dark and atmospheric and psychological, I love it. That's what I would prefer. I watched The Witch again last night.
Oh, I own it on the Blu-ray.
So
I've watched it so many
good.
times. It's so great.
Yeah. All right.
One of my favorite of all time.
I saw The Witches of Eastwick.
Oh, that's a good one.
Since we're talking,
That's a good one. All right.
Well, hey, cheers to you
Yeah.
all for having us
Yeah.
on. We got to get a little
you so
quick
much.
cheers. Everybody's got their drinks.
Cheers.
Cheers to y'all.
Yes.
Have you guys done what's the Kurt Russell Western horror movie? The one Nick always talks about. I loved it. God dang it! It's got Kurt Russell. It's got the guy from Lost in it, and there's like if you guys haven't seen
Bone Tomahawk.
Bone
Tomahawk.
Tomahawk. Yeah, we
Have you
haven't.
guys done that on the
no,
pod
not
yet?
yet. No.
Okay, that's a good new Western. And then there's another one, Nightingale. Have you guys seen Nightingale? I think it's on Hulu. It's like an
No.
Australian movie. Felicia, if you like bleak, sad, fucking
God, I'm
insanely
excited.
sad movies, this is the one. Go watch
Okay.
Nightingale, everyone. Holy shit. I just watched it a couple nights ago and I was like, this is like pushing my like ability to separate myself from some of this shit. It was very real. But anyways,
Can you block
moving on.
things on Hulu?
Nate's like, I don't ever want to get a
I'm gonna
peek
go
of that.
block.
I don't think this is one that would ever like automatically start after you finish like an episode of Sex in the City.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, wait. What happened
All right.
to Miranda?
Okay, I'll have to check that out. Oh, that sounds exciting. I love foreign horror movies too because they always seem to be darker.
Australian like period piece. It's crazy. All
All
right.
right, nice. All right, we have to know if you're willing to share. What's the story behind the name of your podcast?
So we grew up in a little small town and we had a video store and it was called Bev's Video Kingdom. And so people, they hear the name of our podcast like, well, where's Bev? Like, what the fuck's going on here? And no, it was the name of our local video store. They had these badass maroon cases with for the videos you take home. And we just all have great memories of going down there and, going through the racks and seeing what we're going to take home tonight. And, you find that one and you grab it and you find out, nope, shit, it's not there. Got to go on to something else.
yeah.
So.
I mean, one way, I guess the more like, romantic or esoteric way to say it is like we all became movie fans there.
Yeah.
So it was like, that was the place where like it kind of like we came of age as from probably, I mean, it was there when we were all, I don't know. Well, Scott's really old, so he might have been like in his 20s by the time.
I think Scott helped build it.
we were, from the time we were in elementary school until we were out of high school, Bev's was there. And so it was just kind of, one of those things that felt right when we were trying to come up with the name of it. Plus, we kind of liked the, we're kind of feminist, we're male feminist warriors, and we're going to name our podcast a woman's name.
And we actually got permission from the daughter of Bev, who owned the store, and she was like, "Yeah, go for it." That was awesome. So
That's so
she gave us our
nice.
blessing. And I do have to say, thinking about your podcast, is that Nate and I think we're both in the same boat that we would go to the horror section, look at all the boxes, and be like, "Oh, this looks so intriguing," but would never rent a horror movie.
Rent one.
Never would rent a horror movie. I just was, unless I was going to like some sleepover and somebody was watching a horror movie, did not catch a bunch of horror movies growing up.
Are you referring to Donnie Thomason's house when we were in first grade and had to watch Silver Bullet?
Silver Bullet.
That ruined me. I was 6, and his parents were a little loose, and we were at a birthday sleepover, and they put on Silver Bullet.
Well, my dad liked horror movies, and
ruined it.
I got the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre about age 10, and that fucked me up pretty good. So, yeah, that was a really, that's about as hard as you can go as a 10-year-old.
That's awesome.
Oh,
What
yeah,
a great story.
That's BVK.
Yeah, it's an awesome
That's us.
story.
I was going to ask if they knew. Like, I was like, that would be cool to know, like, that your legacy, like, lived on. Because I assume it's closed.
Yeah, it's been closed for many years. So it was actually taken over and turned into the video place by a good friend's like family, and we used to it was our after hours hangout after it was Bev's when we were late teenagers and stuff. And I think Bev passed away 3 or 4 years ago, so it was like not that long ago, and her daughter seemed touched. Although in fairness, I can't get her to like get back to me to give me the old paraphernalia, so maybe she listened to an episode and was like, "Oh shit." What did I do?
Nice. Yeah, I remember this one movie in particular when I was a kid going down the horror aisle, and it was The Town That Dreaded Sundown. That guy with a mask. It was like burned into my head. I never saw it. So finally as an adult, I was like, I didn't remember what it was called, and I Googled and I finally found it and I watched it. That was interesting. That was an interesting.
I remember the Amityville Horror. That one always stood out to me because it was based off the famous painting. But like, I don't remember any others that particularly stood out to me. But
There was a movie called Demented that I remember the cover for. It had a crazy lady on the front with a knife, and I was crazy. You're telling that story. It's like I did that exact thing. I'd go in, I'd look at all these movies. I was fascinated by them, and I remember there was a poster. Actually, I think this was at the Video Box in Turlock, which is another video store. That was the the head of on Friday the 13th, part 2, I think, the mother's head on the bed or something. That was the poster. It was hanging up on the wall, and I remember just sitting there going,
Ruined you.
"Holy crap!" Poster like freaked me out.
Sleepaway Camp. That's the other one that I remember kind of
yeah.
standing out to
God.
me. Like that, the cover of that. Like
Scott was like, "This is scarier than Willy Wonka."
Willy Wonka's pretty scary. I remember this one. I don't remember what it's called, but there's just a girl with long brown hair. It's a braid that's a noose, and she has a knife behind her back. I don't know what it is though, but I remember seeing
April
that.
Fool's Day.
April Fool's Day.
Is that what it is?
Right.
Oh,
That
okay,
is right.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
You know, you've never seen that movie, and you never will. But you have memorized the cover to the point where you knew exactly what she was talking about. That's insanity,
used to
bro.
Look at all the covers and Sleepaway Camp. I remember on the back of the box, it was a letter from a kid, and he's writing home to his parents,
And then it ends in blood.
and it says, "Yeah, a bunch of weird things are happening. These kids are disappearing. Blah blah blah." And at the end, it's like, "Wait, I hear something. Like, why would you write this? Wait, I hear something." And then also, there's like blood on the bottom of this letter. That was the back of the box.
I'm literally freaked out a little bit right now just hearing you recount that.
They wrote, "Wait, I hear something."
Yes.
In their own blood.
Not in their own blood.
Oh,
As
okay.
they're writing the
Wait, I hear something, and I'm bleeding.
I've been cut, Mom.
For me, the one that I remember, I think it was the other one that you put forth. We'll talk about why you chose this movie and maybe the other movies, but I think it was Dead Alive. And isn't this the one with the cover where the girl has her mouth open and there's like a little skull on the inside? That was one for me that I remember looking
There
at.
you go.
Yep.
Now, did you guys were you guys Hollywood or Blockbuster, or did you guys have like little local video store that y'all went to?
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster.
I can't remember if it was a different one before that, but pretty sure it's Blockbuster.
We did have, we had a little town one place I lived, but I don't really remember, but Blockbuster for sure. I remember going there. Wow.
The best is the little town one. You know, you go in there and you're forced to get something from like 1987 because all the new releases are already gone, and they have like 2 copies of whatever the movie you really want is. Like, you're like, oh, they have Ace Ventura 2 When Nature Calls,
Right.
and you show up, they only have 2 copies, and they're both rented out, and you're like, oh my god.
Well, they all came out on Tuesdays, so like I'd call Monday nights almost every week, and I'd be like, okay, I want to reserve a copy of
Sleepless in
Karate
Seattle.
Kid 3.
Oh, that was smart.
Yeah, Karate Kid 3 my ass, bro.
And
He's like, fried green tomatoes, please. Set it
Oh, that's a
aside
good
for me.
one. Fried green tomatoes.
Steel Magnolia. It was Steel Magnolia.
Steel Magnolia.
Peaches
Oh my
again?
gosh, Steel Magnolias. I memorized that whole movie. Wow. Look at that. Anyways, I'm going back. I'm thinking about it.
I can hear I can hear the horror fans clicking off right now.
We're here to talk about a horror movie. Don't leave. Don't leave.
They're all
Felicia's been exposed.
30 seconds ahead. 30 seconds ahead.
All right. So, why don't you share with us why you chose the 2 movies? Because technically, we chose this one that we chose Near Dark, but you presented 2 movies. Why these 2 movies of all the movies you could have chosen? Why these 2? That sounded kind of mean. I didn't mean to say that. I meant just like, why these 2?
It was appropriately mean.
I'm really curious because no one asked me at all. They were just like, hey, here's a bunch of movies. We have a guy that really likes scary movies in our pod. I'm not going to ask him even a little bit.
You don't realize why we didn't ask?
I kind of did have this thought that like yesterday, like I was watching this movie and all of a sudden I'm like, how did we not just let Zach choose this?
Let's hear the reasoning, guys. What did we come up with?
Neither of those are my nominations.
Are the 2 that we put out was Shaun of the Dead or Near Dark?
No, Near Dark and
And Dead Alive.
There were
Dead
3.
Alive. That's
Yeah.
right.
Oh, that's right. There was Shaun of the Dead 2, and I like that one. And Tawny did not want to watch that one, I think.
That's true.
So Near Dark is essentially I had heard about it just from a few friends, and we kind of love Bill Paxton on this show because we did Frailty a long time ago, and Bill Paxton directed that and starred in it.
Second episode we ever did, I think. We did Frailty.
also
my
Zach
pick.
Chosen by Zach, and he was so psyched about it, and we kind of
They proceeded to tell me it was the worst fucking movie they've ever seen in their lives.
pretty close,
They
yeah.
hated it. Every single one of them,
much
to a
exact
man,
quote.
hated it.
it was a fun pod though, because it is a weird, crazy movie, but we had a lot to say about it and a lot to laugh about.
We
which
went
was
hard
awesome.
on it, and then this guy out of nowhere like reaches out over the interwebs, and I hope he's listening because we love you, bro. But this guy reaches out to us and writes this big long letter about like how dare you besmirch Bill Paxton's
No,
No,
he just said how Bill.
Oh
He
yeah,
was just,
Bill.
How
yeah.
do you?
How dare you like talk about Bill in that way? This was a masterpiece. You guys don't know what you're talking about. You're idiots. How dare you?
In the whole episode, we were talking about how much we like Bill Paxton and so many other things,
And it was just the overwhelming sentiment was we love Bill Paxton, but this movie sucks.
yeah. And this guy went crazy on us. So I mean, we absolutely love Bill Paxton, and this was a blind spot for me. And I was like, okay, I do like Bill Paxton in so many things.
So I'm sorry. You had not seen the movie before you nominated it.
No.
Oh, that makes me even. I don't know if that makes me more or less mad.
So wait, what? This wasn't one of your movies?
I had never seen it.
You guys, who picked
I
it?
wanted
So
to watch
wait,
it.
you? Oh my God, this is blowing my mind.
Fuck.
Had you guys seen this before?
No.
No.
You guys had never seen it before?
Oh, no,
Oh my God.
I pretty much spearheaded this into wanting to watch Bill Paxton because I'd seen the bar
for the
scene
love of
before,
God, dude.
and
This
I knew
makes
Bill
me-
Paxton was just going to be absolute nuts job, and I was like, okay, that's what I want to watch.
This makes me so happy when I go scorched earth on this movie in about 20 seconds here. All right, go ahead,
Don't
ladies.
fucking
This is just where we're supposed to go.
I guess the short answer is I chose it, I forced it to happen, and now here we are.
Now here we are. Of all the
Okay.
movies you could have chosen. Just kidding. Thanks for bringing it to us.
Oh yeah.
I'm the one that brought up Dead Alive, and because I had seen that before, and it's funny. It's like it's kind of weird. It's tongue in cheek. It's very not scary at all, but super gory, super fun, and for a guy who I don't like horror movies, I loved it. I had a lot of fun watching it a long time. I hadn't seen it so many years, so I thought, hey, maybe it might be fun to bring it up. So I brought up that one.
Okay, so
Thank you
Tawny,
for choosing Near Dark.
yeah, Tawny, Tawny said not Shaun of the Dead, but you can choose. She left it up to me. You could choose between the other two movies, and I was curious about them both. I chose Near Dark because it was giving me Lost Boy vibes, and I loved the Lost Boys. That was the first album I had was the Lost Boys soundtrack.
Such a good album.
That's the first album I had.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
It's
Is it
on
just-
CD. On CD for sure.
And we've all
The
grown
roided
up.
out guy playing the saxophone?
Oh
I
yeah.
don't think he's on that.
Oh no,
album.
he's 100% on it.
Oh, is he?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I know he's on the. But I mean, I didn't know if he's on the soundtrack.
It's got NXS. It's got some great ones.
Oh, it's a
Yeah,
great-
I had
it's
it
a
on
great album.
record, like an actual record.
Oh, nice.
We've grown up like hour and 30 minutes from the Santa Cruz boardwalk where it was part of it was filmed. And so I mean that's a big reference point for
They
us,
asked
the
my
Lost
mom.
Boys.
I was there when the sweaty guy on stage was filming a scene.
The sax guy?
Yeah, I was there.
Really?
Dude. I saw it from, and my mom was asked to be an extra.
Tim Capello.
Tim Capello.
Wow.
He
yes.
has a name, guys.
Tim Capello.
So
Show him
cool.
some
To me-
respect.
We
to me,
can't
he's
call
just
him
a-
buff saxophone guy?
No, that's.
I mean that's how he
he'll
is
always be
known.
a saxophone guy to me.
Yeah.
I
You see him on the
That's
street,
cool.
you bet, dude, buff saxophone guy.
He'd love it.
All right, Felicia. So you picked Near Dark, but you had not seen it.
No, I didn't see any of them. I picked that because it was giving me Lost Boy vibes, so Lost Boys vibes, and so I picked
I am
it.
fucking excited that there's 6 people that are doing a podcast on a movie that none of them had seen
Yeah.
2 nights ago. That makes me so happy, and we didn't realize that. So I was telling my wife, I was like, man, I want to say some things about this movie, but these girls are so sweet. I don't want to like shit all over their movie that they picked.
I love how Zach was so out of the dark, and like he was completely in the dark about how this whole process
And
works.
she's like, yeah, you don't want to be mean. And I was like, yeah, right.
like
But now
her.
that I know that you guys,
Oh no.
now that you guys didn't pick it, I'm so excited.
I feel like we were like 6 people who were like, yeah, I heard about this new bar, and we all piled into a van and drove
Yeah.
off a cliff.
I am so excited too because I was really nervous that, because when we have guests on, they bring us a movie. We were, we want to be respectful, but I think this movie, I literally slacked Tawny, or I messaged Tawny and I said, I don't think we should let guests choose movies anymore.
So I was gonna open. I mean, I wanted to open with a nitpick, which was that from like around the first scene to the last scene, it was a steaming pile of garbage that somebody took a shit on.
That's a little nitpick.
But that's it. Otherwise, I loved it.
I mean, that's just nitpicking.
It's just nitpicking.
Dude,
All right.
I got my wife.
Wait, we need Tawny to have the 2 minutes with Tawny, right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, tell us about this garbage pile, Tawny.
No, I feel like
Okay.
somebody was going somewhere.
Zach,
Where-
go ahead.
I just
what happened
wanted.
with your wife?
My son goes, "Are you going to tell the girls about what happened when we watched the movie?" And I said, "Yeah." So I have my 12-year-old son. We watched Barbarian maybe like 2 nights ago.
Okay.
And he's like, that movie wasn't scary after it was over. And I was like, no, I didn't think it was too scary either. I was like, it's kind of social commentary. Like there's some other stuff going on. And he's like, I didn't like it. And so I'm like, hey, I got to watch this one. These horror movie fans, I thought you girls had recommended this movie. And I'm like, they like this one. And then like I looked it up online. It didn't say there was anything like too terribly bad in it for a 12-year-old to watch. And so about 15 minutes in, my wife and my son just goes, Daddy, can you pause it? And I pause it and he goes, this is terrible. I'm so bored. And I was like, yeah, maybe it's going to get better. It's going to get better, bud. And he's like, I'm going to go in my room and talk to my friends. And so that was how the movie started for me. And then my wife was like, do we have to watch the rest? And I was like, I'll watch it tomorrow by myself. So we turned it off. Like, so we watched 18 minutes and turned it off. And then I reconvened this morning and continued watching.
Can you please tell your family that we did not pick this movie?
Yeah,
sorry. Can you please?
They're gonna laugh so hard because I really was like just like all tied up about trying to shit on this movie, and I was like gonna feel so bad if you guys were like, "Oh, I love this movie so much."
Okay, so here I want to explain because I've known Brad the longest, and Brad and I have had we have some really seriously intense commonalities in our movies. So like we both love Quentin Tarantino, Pulp Fiction, like we really love Kevin Smith. We have some taste in certain comedy movies. So there's some things we get really overlap, but there's a lot of shit we really don't overlap. And one of the key areas is that Brad likes stuff off the beaten path, and in particular some things that he remembers fondly from his childhood with his dad and brother, like he said. And some of those are like 80s movies or even late 70s movies like Strange Brew and The Best of Times. And there's one more I thought of that are I just find fucking garbage. Like I'm like, these are just terrible movies. And so this is in the time period. It's kind of like a little weird for so I'm like, oh my God, this is another one of these movies that Brad picked. That's a terrible movie. And he loves it. So I'm like on here ready to just kick him in the teeth. Like absolutely crucify him.
I said earlier, I was like, Nate's gonna yell at Brad for picking this movie.
We haven't even got my opinion yet. It's awesome. I'm so excited.
All right. Let's get into it then. Let's go ahead and get into it.
I want to hear
100%.
I want to hear what you guys thought of this movie. I can't wait. If you thought that we were like, this is a great one, you guys need to watch it. I can't fucking wait.
All right. So we are talking about Near Dark from 1987. I watched it on Amazon Prime with some type of a thing that I got like a free trial and then immediately canceled the free trial. My husband looked at me and said, did we pay for this? We did not.
I believe it's called Criterion.
There's Criterion. There's another one that I did, Movie Sphere.
Yeah,
I think is what it was.
That's what I think it was. The director was Katheryn.
I canceled it immediately.
The director was Katheryn Bigelow, and I actually liked some of her movies that she created: Point Break, The Hurt Locker, and Zero Dark 30, and Detroit.
Wait, but we cannot forget. We cannot forget
a movie that we did on the pod. Katheryn Bigelow, right?
No, we didn't do it yet, but Keanu Reeves and.
Well, she said Point Break.
Point Break.
Oh, you did say Point Break. My bad.
Thanks for listening, Brad. Thanks for listening.
Sorry, I'm getting beers.
Felicia's running this meeting, Brad. Are you not paying attention?
I forgot to raise my hand. I'm sorry.
The writers.
I got coaching. Go ahead.
It's okay. The writers.
I was just going to say that I got to.
Go ahead, Zach.
I'll shut
what
up.
did you want to say? Don't go.
I was just going to say that I got a coaching at work from my boss about, he was like, Zach, can you hang on the call afterwards? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, hey, people can see you on the call the whole time. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And he's like, I don't think you know. You're making faces the whole time. He's like, someone says something and you like raise your eyebrows all crazy. He's like, you cannot do that. There's 30 people on this call. All of them are watching you. And I'm like, okay.
Zach had his own screen pinned the whole time. He can only see himself.
I didn't realize that everyone was paying attention to me. I always live by the rule that like people are paying like more attention to themselves than they are to me, but apparently everyone's watching me on these calls. Anyways, go ahead, ladies. I'm sorry.
That was so good. That's hilarious, though. All right. The writers, Katheryn Bigelow and Eric Red. And Eric Red wrote The Hitcher, which I remember very fondly and am nervous to watch it because I really like my memories of that movie. I loved it. All right, the cast, Adrian Pasdar was Caleb Colton. Jenny Wright was May. Lance Henriksen was Jesse Hooker. Bill Paxton was Severin. Joshua John Miller was Homer. Jeanette Goldstein was Diamondback. And Tim Thomerson was Loy Colton, the dad. Okay, the budget.
Do you have in front of you who plays the little girl?
She was the only one I didn't put on here. If someone wants to.
Is it? It's not the sister. It's not the sister from Uncle Buck, is it?
No,
It's not.
No.
That's a deep reach. I don't know.
I'm sorry.
It's not her. It's not her for sure.
Not Maisie from Uncle Buck. All right, go ahead.
Did you want me to look it up?
No.
Okay.
I definitely don't because I'm wrong.
Okay. So it's the little girl from Uncle Buck. I'm just kidding. Budget was $5 million. The box office was $3.4 million. Rotten Tomatoes is at an 82%. IMDb was 6.9 out of 10. I know. But Letterboxd is 3.6 out of 5. All right.
Okay.
Still, that's
I
what
know.
are these people thinking?
Yeah. Metacritic was 76. I looked that one up too. And that's what was weird. I was like, oh, this must be great. Everybody loves it.
It's a cult classic.
Okay, let's move on.
Now.
Yeah.
So, all right.
I guess it is. I never met the Colt. Okay.
No, Zach, go ahead. After every time I talk, I'm just going to pause and then let Zach
I
make
know.
sure. Yes.
He's going to fill in the space.
I
Don't
told
worry.
you,
He will fill in the space.
I hate silence.
I just think this is another example of how women have been talking over men in meetings for decades.
I'm trying to take back. I'm trying to take back the night right now.
It's like, it's like can't a white man get in a word edgewise? You know what I mean?
There's not even that long of a silence. There's like literally just I took a breath. I'm just gonna fill in it. Okay.
I will say when y'all were on our pod, I did have a few different people, both men and women, who were like, "You guys might want to, not talk over your guests as much." I'm like, "Sorry, fuck. We get out of control sometimes."
We just talk over people. It doesn't matter if they're guests or hosts or what it is. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Now we're gonna move into 2 minutes with Tawny.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So turn back now if you don't want the shit spoiled for you. But I mean, this is probably one of those that you could just listen to this podcast. I don't think you have to turn around if you don't want to. So here we go. Caleb Colton is a simple small town cowboy who loves his family. He goes out with some friends and spots a new girl in town, May, who he somehow impresses enough for her to go somewhere with him alone. She bites him on the neck and runs off as the sun comes up. Caleb isn't doing so well, and as the sun rises, he starts smoking. Out of nowhere, an RV shows up and picks him up. Inside is a cast of rough and tumble characters, including the wild Severin and Homer, who looks like a kid. These people are all vampires, even though they never call themselves that. And Caleb struggles because he doesn't want to kill anyone to feed. The group gives him 1 week to assimilate. Eventually, Caleb's dad and little sister accidentally bump into the group while they're out looking for him. Homer, the kid vampire, wants to keep Sarah as a companion, but Caleb obviously hates that idea and gets them the fuck out of there. At home, Caleb's father performs a blood transfusion which cures Caleb of vampirism. May shows up to distract him while the group kidnaps his sister. In a literal explosive end to this moving, involving a semi-truck, horse, and station wagon, all the vampires are killed by Caleb or sunlight, except for May, who receives a blood transfusion to become human again. Also, the end.
Nice.
I know a doctor that specialized in medical school.
Yeah, vampire transfusion.
Vampire transfusions. Yeah, it's pretty.
That guy
Kind of basic.
That guy grows dusty corn and he's just performing a basement fucking blood transfusion.
Well, funny that my son happened to be a vampire because I just picked this skill up. It's,
He's a veterinarian, so he has.
Do they say he's a
You
veterinarian?
didn't see that at the very beginning. His first.
Right.
He's got goats.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Did you guys even watch this
There's a
fucking
lot of
movie? Am I
it.
the only one that watched it? Was this a joke?
Fuck,
You
I
guys
take
made
it
me
back.
watch
It's a fucking masterpiece. Never mind.
No, we had
Explains everything.
Tawny sent us our summary and we just skipped it. You're the only one.
I'm the only one that watched it.
The majority of this movie was just Colton. Is that his name? Caleb. It's just Caleb
Caleb.
walking ill. walking ill, like a lot.
He's just limping. Yeah,
He escapes different places a lot of times. Like he's just walking off again.
It's like 70% of the movie, I think.
Yeah,
Trying to get a bus.
Walking.
Trying to get a bus. Yeah.
All right, so let's hear how each of you feel. Maybe we'll start with whoever wants to start. Tell us how you feel, just high level tidbits, and then we'll all just go in and we'll all talk about how we feel, and then we'll dive into the movie.
So my main feeling is that I typically really like movies that take themselves super serious. Like that's like my thing, is movies that make them take themselves super seriously. But you have to have like some level of competent acting. And what really took me out of this movie in particular, which I think there's a way that you could do this story. I think it could be really interesting and less over the top than what they do. But what really killed me was the fucking synth music. And I love synth music, but it was so loud at times. Like the sound mixing was just insane. We kept having to turn it up, and then like all of a sudden they would do like, they walk into the bar and it's just like the weird moody synth, and then all of a sudden it's like and it was like the
Mario.
It was like
the Mario.
It was like level 1.2 on fucking the underground of Mario Brothers, and dude, it was so weird. And then I felt like the ending was a huge kind of a cop out. Like they had so much potential to do something that, you know, something could have happened to the little sister or the dad, but everything turns out fucking hunky dory. He even gets the girl that I loved the wording of somehow convinces this chick to get in his truck with him, because I mean, what was his big line was being like super slimy and weird. He was weird and not like a super redeeming character to me. Like he seemed sort of douchey the whole time.
Well, I was gonna say, if those were his homies at the very beginning,
Sorta?
they were all douchebags. They're just kind of typical little country fuck.
Yeah, like, oh no, I'm not gonna give you a ride home until you kiss me and all this. And I'm like, dude, what are we doing
He straight up
here,
stops
bro?
the car and like pulls the keys out.
Yeah,
Me too, bro.
it was weird, dude.
You never pulled the old, the battery must be bad.
This car won't move unless you start kissing, girl.
Drops his keys down his shirt. Fuck.
Oh, crazy.
All right. So here's the thing. We are on a horror movie podcast. Am I correct?
This is correct.
And I watched a fucking movie that was neither scary nor gory. So I continue my tirade from our own pod. What is a fucking horror movie exactly? Because it wasn't scary and it wasn't very gory.
Yeah, it wasn't very Western either, except for the one time the guy gets on a horse.
He had a cowboy hat.
This does lead me directly into my second take was, why did Katheryn Bigelow, who I really like, Zero Dark 30 is one of my favorite movies of the last 10 years. Why did she enjoy so much to see vehicles drive just at insane speeds across tilled fields? Like all kind of vehicles, like shit that would absolutely get stuck.
It's cinematic as fuck, bro.
She's like, oh no,
Station wagon at the end just cruise along the
killing it
bumps.
across these like bumps, and like, why they don't have dirt? They don't have dirt roads. Like, what's happening right now? So why is there so much dirt driving with weird vehicles?
Even just the pull up of him in the truck right when he meets his friends.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, bro, like you're gonna fucking kill yourself driving into a building.
The scariest part of this entire movie was the driving.
They need that fucking Ford murder wagon from High Tension.
If High Tension's murder wagon was in there, that would have been great, just bouncing over those little mounds.
And I guess my last take is, it was overact. Like, did the director say, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to kind of like act like you think it's good, and then I want you to take that up like 10 notches. Yes. And then when you think you've done 10, I want you to go up 5 more. Yeah. You just like, I'm talking high school, like musical level, like camp, and then like take it a little further.
No. Here's what happened in this movie is that they bought, I think, 10 pounds of cocaine. Yeah. Bill Paxton stole it, and they're like, "Shit, we don't have any other money, so we got to go get like some local actors to come in because Bill Paxton has all the cocaine. So he's snorting all of it, and he just let loose."
I think that's entirely
There's something
plausible.
to that. Yeah, there's something to that.
Is it like Heath Ledger does the same thing that he does and like does it really well, and Billy P kind of just shits all over himself.
I loved it. I was so into Billy Paxton just going nuts.
Okay, all right. So Brad, please, finally,
go ahead,
Grace.
Brad.
Okay, so again, I had not seen this, and I thought it was going to be more of a horror movie. And again, Nate, I'll completely agree with you that I'm like, how is this labeled as a horror movie? Because it didn't have that much. And the fact that I thought maybe this came out in 85 and then Lost Boys was like, oh, they've kind of got an idea with the vampire thing. We'll do it way better. The fact that they both came out in 87 is crazy because Lost Boys is such a better vampire film than this one. And the only pleasure I took out of it is that bar scene, essentially. It's like everything else in that movie is shit. The bar scene for me is an absolute riot. And I watched that on YouTube before I ever watched the movie, and that's all I needed to see.
But Lost Boys doesn't take itself as seriously as this movie. Like, not even close.
Lost Boys takes itself pretty damn serious.
But not like this one. Like, the music and something, like, lent it to, like, it was, like, going to be, like, a high art. Like, it was like if you told, like, an 8th grader you're like, all right, watch a bunch of Nicholas Riffing Windig movies and then now go make one yourself.
Well, the James Cameron, Katheryn Bigelow connection is what's interesting because one, he said, hey, we just did Aliens, take 3 of the actors from Aliens. 3
of the actors from this
and come on over to, and they're going to be in your movie. And then she basically kind of steals like not in a great way, the synths from Terminator, which is like kind of got the same whole synth thing going on in its entirety. So they borrowed the synths, borrowed some actors from Aliens, and they put together a movie, and that's what happened.
I mean, I guess in that sense, I'm thankful for this though, because like this was just garbage, but I'm glad we got Katheryn Bigelow.
Yeah,
I mean, because
I think she was just trying to get with James Cameron, bro. They got married right after this, right?
I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
she, you know what? Like, if she had to do whatever she had to do to get a movie career, including making this shitty movie,
now she gets half. She's telling him right now. She's like, Avatar's good, bro. You should make a sequel.
God, do not
You
talk
should
about
make
that
a
movie
fucking
to me.
sequel to Avatar. Everybody liked that movie.
Make 4 sequels, and then
Yeah.
half
Shoot
of that
them all
goes
at
into my
once.
pocket.
Dude, talk about a horror movie. God, dude.
Scott,
right.
what did you think of
Scott.
the movie, dude?
All my takes have been taken. It's so crazy how I never thought in my life that I would hear Nate say the words, I wanted more scary and more gore. And I had the same thought. I'm not a huge horror guy. I actually, some of my favorite movies are horror. I love Seven. I actually loved Hereditary.
Yeah.
So I have an appreciation for a lot of that stuff. But I was just sitting there going, man, I wanted more. And Brad brought up the bar scene. I thought that scene was just weird, and people did not freak out nearly enough. After they fucking slit the throat of the waitress.
The bartender didn't even grimace when they slit that waitress's
It
throat.
was so
Yeah.
weird.
He's like, I've never met her
That's
before.
just the shit that goes down in a Texas bar.
Dude,
Yeah.
that was wild.
The acting was so shitty. There's a scene where Lance Henriksen turns around and right towards the end, he turns around, goes towards the car, and he throws his arms up, and it's like the worst high school drama acting I've ever seen in my life. And I was so bummed because I actually went into this with a positive attitude. Like, Metacritic loved it, Rotten Tomatoes loved it. It's got to be good. And I was sitting there, I was honestly expecting that you guys are all going to like it or something. And I'm sitting here going, this is what did I watch the edited
You
version?
missed something.
I literally thought I checked a couple times because I did download it on that Movie Sphere thing, which I didn't know. And I thought, well, maybe they're all edited on that app. Or
There's
something.
no better feeling than about fucking 60 minutes into a movie and then being like, am I watching the right movie? Is this the right fucking Near Dark?
It was only 90 minutes though. At least it kept it a little
100%.
bit nice and tight as far
and
as
tight.
the shit that they delivered.
Yeah, and when we were talking about high tension on our pod, I mentioned I was glad that it was an hour and 30 because I couldn't wait for it to be over because I was kind of scared and I'm a pussy. But this one, I was like, I kept hitting the little button, the pause button, to see how much longer. I was like, okay, it's almost over. Thank God, it's almost over, just because it sucked.
All right. Now let's hear what the experts have to say.
Tawny, you want to go?
No, I want you to go first.
Okay. I'm really happy to hear how you all felt about it because, like I said, I was really nervous because I enjoyed this movie because I was laughing at it. It was the acting for me was, first of all, I couldn't hear what anyone was saying. I don't know why nobody
Right?
was enunciating. They were just like,
synths were so loud.
yeah, I have this note here. I caught one of it because I had to turn on the captions to understand what these people were saying. And he said, Diamond, do you see this here? But what it sounded like was, and then I was like, wait, what? And then I hear, whenever, and I'm like, why this? I can't understand anything anyone is saying. And then the acting, oh my God, it was like right in the beginning, I believe it was Bill Paxton who was breaking into the truck. And so you see him over by the truck and it's like, open the coat. There's the key. Oh, I'm putting it in the car. It was like, or how with the cop when he goes.
Not only that, he literally kicks the tires on the truck that he's like trying to see if he's going to buy it. He like kicks the tires really quick, all fucking
That's what
strategic.
they do, right? They kick the tires.
Oh my God.
And then
How do you know if it's a good car if you don't kick the tires?
when the cop was talking to him in the bus stop, right? And he's whatever they say, I couldn't understand it. And then the cop goes, opens his coat, reaches in, pulls out his badge. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is fucking ridiculous. My 8-year-old was sitting there with her iPad watching it, and she was laughing. She was laughing, and then she was acting stuff out. So I have to say, and there's more stuff to say, but yeah. I didn't like this movie.
When he shows that badge, like at first he's like concerned. He's like, I'm going to take you with me. And he's like, shows me the badge. And he's like, just get yourself home. Like what?
No, he gives him money and then he gets off on the next stop.
Well, no, he
And it's
jumps
like-
out because he's about to burn up. And he's like, yeah.
Brad,
They don't even have vampire teeth.
I'm fine that he showed him the badge.
I didn't remember.
I think it's just the way he did it, where he was
Yeah.
like,
no. Super illustrative.
Yeah, it was so funny. And to something you guys were saying about Katheryn. So this was her first solo directorial effort. And the film's producer, Edward S. Feldman, told her that if she couldn't handle it or didn't know what she was doing after 5 days, she would be replaced. So
Damn.
I wonder if
And then
there's
they went on a vacation for 10 days.
I wonder if there was a little bit of, that, type of control, like she didn't have full control because her other movies
I
were
guarantee you
really
she
good.
didn't.
That makes sense.
No, it was her first one. It was her first
that-
one,
that-
though, and they obviously didn't trust
That
her.
makes sense.
Just because she did Hurt Locker
But
and Zero
she-
Dark 30 later doesn't mean they thought that.
But there was some
and Point
artistic
Break.
moments. There was artistic moments because when the main vampire girl, she bites Caleb, like after they kill the truck driver and they're out there and like he's drinking from her arm, and they have the oil derricks in the background going up and down, and it's completely like
So symbolic.
it's some symbolic of sex. It's just like going up and down while he's like biting her arm,
so
and
yeah.
it's super erotic. I was like, oh shit, look at this imagery.
That's funny. I didn't get this. I didn't get the eroticism. I was like thinking it was like very on the nose. Like he's like pumping the oil. He's like sucking it, and the oil's pumping out of her.
So-
But why is sucking the blood of a vampire gonna satisfy the urge? Isn't it different blood?
Okay, so I don't want to. I don't want to.
He doesn't want to desecrate humans.
But can I just? I want to.
I know why he did it. I don't see why it would work because you're supposed to drink blood of humans. He's drinking vampire blood. How does that? It shouldn't help him.
She's
right?
like a reservoir.
You never seen
of
True
human
Blood, bro?
She
Come
drank
on,
enough
dude.
of the dude
Charlene
so that
Harris?
he could get some. I don't know.
Okay, I want to bookmark. I want to know what the vampire rules are for later. Okay, because this is my major problem here.
The last thing I'll say, and I'll hand it over to Tawny, is I have a note here that it's an edgy Disney vampire movie. That's what I thought about it. Okay, go ahead,
borderline
Tawny.
edgy.
I like that.
Okay, so I feel like I have to give a little bit of background. I usually hate 80s horror movies because they're super cheesy, and I don't like that. I Zach, like you said, I like movies that take themselves seriously, and so I went in to this with like the lowest of low expectations. Like I was like, I'm gonna fucking hate this. I'm not excited to watch it. Like I was like, but at least it sounded kind of interesting. Like that's why I was like okay with this pick, because I was like, it's a neo-Western, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm here for like the experience or whatever, but I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like this. So I am also glad to hear that everybody else really disliked this movie. But because I went in with such low expectations, I think like, I'm just going to say I didn't hate it. Like, it wasn't...
She liked it the most.
I think I might have come out on top here just listening to everybody. That's why I wanted to hear everybody's things. I think there are some redeeming things. And Brad, you might be, just based on how everybody's talked about it, you might be the only person with me on this. But
I am. I had fun. I thought it was a fun movie that was absolute shit.
yes, totally. Like, you can tell so many fucking things went wrong. I feel like they had to ADR this entire movie. That's why it sounded like fucking garbage, because it's like...
It sounded bad.
There's so many moments where somebody's saying something and they're obviously not actually saying it, or it's like, yeah.
But it sounds
100%.
like her voice, the May character's voice, to me sounds like a French movie that's being dubbed.
Totally.
Like that somebody is putting a voiceover on, right?
Well,
like it's that void of emotion.
It totally. And not only that, though, there are moments where you feel like there's music that should be happening because things are happening in the scene. Like, people are dancing and it's not matching. And so it made me feel like they ran into so many fucking problems in the edit. Like, they probably couldn't get the rights to the music that they used in the scene. And, like, the editing is fucking rough. Like, you can tell that they just hacked this to fucking pieces when they got in post-production. Like, it is... There's so many fucking problems with it. The acting, obviously, you've all hit on that, is so fucking bad. But the thing that I kind of liked about it is the story. Like, I feel like they had some good ideas here. And this is one of those movies that I feel like somebody should fucking remake this. Because I think there's some, like, there's a little, there's some gold nuggets in here. It's just, this was rough.
Imagine a Tarantino remake of this, where, like,
yeah,
there's great vampire dialogue.
Yep.
And
with
like,
I mean, really,
some actual gore.
really, it's got the bones of a good movie. I completely agree. I think that the sound design was terrible, the music was terrible. They fixed that. They fixed the ending. I didn't like the happy ending.
They replaced the whole cast.
Well, I mean, obviously you replaced the whole cast. Anyways, keep going, Tawny. I love it.
No, I mean, I think that's the gist. I agree. I think there was the one actor that I really liked is the kid. I was like, where did they find this fucking kid?
Not Homer.
He's great.
You're not talking about Homer. You guys are on crack. That kid was fucking absurd.
100%.
Fucking
Thank you, Felicia.
absurd.
Thank you.
Absurd.
I thought he was better than everybody else in the movie.
What did he do with that napkin to the waitress? And you like
The
chewed up the
napkin. Okay,
napkin,
no.
and then he was like, he was a fucking absurd. This boy.
No. The napkin might have
He's
been
like
a
700
directing
years old.
choice. Might have been a directing choice. Okay.
Dude,
The napkin was
Best
fucking weird. I'm not denying it.
Yes.
But the line delivery, as if you're an old person in a kid's body, I felt like that kid did well.
He was.
Best actor in the movie
Bullshit.
is the little sister from Uncle Buck.
I thought you would.
She was fucking great. I was really worried about her like the whole movie. Every time that like he fell down at some point. They're running together, and instead of saying together, he's like, "Run that way. There's no way they'll catch you with that car they're driving behind us."
Right.
I'm like, how did they even get split up? I had to rewind it to see how they got split up. And once again, this motherfucker is falling down and limping across the screen, right? Half of the movie is him not being able to walk or run correctly.
Yep.
And he ran into like the most endless field ever. It looks like it goes on forever.
That
He was
must have
like,
been
just
the-
keep going, honey.
That must have been the craziest audition where they were just like, can we see you run with a limp? All right, now pretend like you're on fire while you're running. All right, can you crawl a little bit?
Was
Okay.
Caleb's dad not the most stereotypical like cowboy dude of all time? Like he just seemed like straight out of like, if you want to cast the kind of gruff cowboy guy, they just put the perfect dude in there because he's terrible. He's not a good actor, but he's good at that. Yeah, we're gonna go find him. That kind of shit. Like,
That's all he
the
said
daughter,
over
like-
and over again. Yeah, we're gonna go find him.
we're gonna go find him.
At one point, the daughter like tries to eat more vegetables. I'm pretty sure she was trying to get more vegetables from the middle of the table. He's like,
Knock it off.
knock it off.
We're from fucking Texas. We eat steaks, okay?
Oh my
This guy's intense.
The
Mine
last thing I'll
too-
say,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
it just in relation to like watching the movie and enjoying it, Felicia, like you said you watched it and you enjoyed it. I feel like I had the opposite because we just did Halloween 3, like you had mentioned, Scott, earlier, and I fucking hated that movie. And I think part of it is that I watched it by myself, and so it wasn't like I didn't really get the enjoyment of like watching it with somebody else and laughing about how ridiculous it is. But I watched this one with Jade, and so there was we got to kind of bounce off of each other and laugh
Yes.
like through the movie, and so I enjoyed the experience more.
we should have watched this together
Yeah.
as a group. It would have been
so
super
fun.
We would have cracked jokes the whole fucking time. It would have been so great.
It would have been
needed some
terrible.
comedic relief.
I didn't hear any dialogue anyways. If you motherfuckers were all sitting around and I was trying to listen to all you guys talk, I would have gotten zero
But did
dialogue
we
out of the whole
need
thing. We
the
would have had to
dialogue,
You
Zach?
didn't miss anything.
Did we need it?
Same experience, buddy.
My two
didn't
favorite
need
things
it.
about this movie was the bartender waitress's hair. I thought that was very well done.
Yeah.
And I also like Jess Hooker's scar. So those two are the two things that I like the most because her hair was really cool. And then the scar, me and my husband were like, I was like, that scar is really well. I was really trying to find something that I wanted to bring to the table in case you guys really loved it.
really
and I was
like
like,
that scar.
is really good. And my husband goes, because he really has a scar. And I'm like, oh, does he? And I looked him up. I'm like, he doesn't. And so then we talked about the scar for a little while. Yeah.
Oh, that scar is not real.
No.
The one on his chin?
No, Caleb's scar is real.
Okay, because the one on his chin was
No,
super
Hooker,
distracting.
He got
Jesse.
like a car accident when he was younger.
Jesse Hooker.
Lance Henriksen.
Lance Henriksen, yeah.
That
Gotcha.
whole like face scar that he's got going.
Yeah.
Okay, shit. I will say, okay, you just mentioned dialogue,
Sorry.
and in the bar, I mean, obviously, our boy Bill Paxton puts on just a tour de force in the bar with just all the shit that's going
Does
down.
he?
One quick little note on trivia wise. So the guy that he knocks over his whiskey, and it's like the guy that he fucks with and he punches or whatever. That dude is also in James Cameron T2.
Yeah.
He's the guy that puts the cigar out on Arnold's chest.
He also gets
forgot
beat
to
up in a
say,
bar.
"Please." I was like, she's like, oh, you need somebody for T2? Oh, I know the best guy. He gets his ass kicked in bars all the time.
We did the T2. We did T2 on our pod and had a guy from the movie on it, and we talked to him about that. Remember?
Yeah, for sure. So, but I will say, Bill Paxton's dialogue, my favorite is when he finally spits the whiskey in the dude's face, and then he grabs Caleb and puts in front of him, and the guy punches him. He says, "Go on, hit him a couple times. I'm trying to show the boys something." It makes zero sense what he's talking about. He
The guy just stands there and keeps punching him.
just keeps punching.
And he's like, these guys that just slit that lady's throat, I'm sure this will be fine. I'll just punch this guy. that's
No,
with
they hadn't slit the girl's throat yet. They
Yeah.
didn't know they were vampires at this point. But I just like,
You-
go on, hit him a couple times.
You reminded me that was the I definitely think the bar scene was the best scene in the movie. My daughter, that's what she saw was when it was the woman, right? Or maybe it was a man, but when they slit someone's throat with the little spurs.
Spur.
Where it's like,
Oh, yeah.
that's-
and then it's like zip, and then there's bleeding. She saw that. She was
And it's
laughing.
making the noise. Oh, so
And then
great.
she got up and she acted
he's
it
like,
out. She was like, "Mom, look at me!" And then she was acting it out. She's like, "This is ridiculous."
Oh, that poor bartender. He had a rough night.
I liked this. I liked the whole bartender scene. I thought, obviously there's shaky moments, but I also thought like, yeah, this is like where we're about to, I felt like I could see where they were going. And I was like, I see that vision and it didn't come together, but I like it. And I liked the spur slit in the
Agreed.
throat. I liked it.
And then that poor kid that just stands in the back the whole time watching all of this unfold.
He just stands there.
And he just stands there the whole time. He didn't look for the back exit or anything. He just kind of just stood there by the pool table, taking it all in.
So where the movie got me and where I was like, all right, this is going to go somewhere that I like, was when the little boy kind of leaves their hotel and he walks outside and he sees the little sister. And you can tell he's like, oh, he's into her and he wants her for himself. Like, right. So he turns her into a vampire at that age. She stays that age forever. Right. They could be a little couple, which is freaking just wild to me. And I can't believe nothing bad ever happens to that. Like they dangle it and dangle it and dangle it and nothing ever happens.
I think there was a version where they were actually going to have her get bit and
Right?
get turned
That's the move.
and like set up a little bit more at the end, but
Well, it's like
didn't go with
they
it.
kidnap her at the end, and it's like, okay, they're holding her hostage. Okay, well, why don't you just bite her?
bite her.
Think about
just
if you
bite her.
take-
Just bite her.
If you take the transfusion part of this movie out completely, so on our pod we like to do an alternate ending for every movie. So the alternate ending for this one, for me, is you at the point where they're in the hotel room with the dad. Maybe they get away, but the vampires come back, and somehow dad gets killed and sister gets turned. And then the happy ending is that at least he gets to go and his little sister's like with him and he goes off and becomes like a vampire or whatever. There's no weird transfusion storyline. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. Just that part for me just kind of took me out of it. The end felt like a cop out to me.
It could have been the prequel to like, what's the Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise
Interview with the Vampire.
The
Bro,
prequel to that.
they were those vampires are from like the 1200s, bro.
Maybe they go try to join their club.
So, girls, Nate's big question at this is, what are the rules for vampires? And I know there's quite a few different sets of rules. So one thing I noticed is these vampires had no vampire teeth.
No vampire teeth.
And they did a lot of like biting into their own wrists without vampire teeth, which seems like it would be difficult. I don't know because I've never bit into my wrist or anyone else's wrist, but
I have, and
have you
it's
done
not
this?
too hard.
Okay, I was going to say, Felicia, have you done this?
No, I do have something on this though. Sorry, my dog. The lack of almost any material relating to traditional vampire mythology, at least as it is related to how vampires were commonly represented in movies up until this time when this film was produced, except for their vulnerability to being burned to death by the sunlight or common fires, was intentional on the part of Katheryn Bigelow. She wanted to make the vampires into a cross between traditional horror villains and Western gunslingers, because that would make them characters who could drive the narrative, not least because of the also deliberate denial of the traditional heroic role of Caleb, but who were able to be, through great effort and sacrifice, destroyed by the film's conclusion. So it was purposeful. There's a few things about how they purposely didn't use the typical rules that we're used to for vampires. And one other thing, and I meant to go look this up, but maybe one of you will remember. I had mentioned that I was like, why is he drinking her blood? That doesn't make sense. And my husband said they did that in Interview with the Vampire as well, where when they first changed someone, that's kind of how they nursed them up until they could feed on their own. So.
Okay.
It's the vampire teat.
And if you guys watched that True Blood HBO show that based on those Charlene Harris books, it was like humans were taking the vampire blood as if it was a drug, and it was like some sort of like making them like, but it didn't turn them into a vampire. And yeah, I just have problems with the blood transfusion part. Like,
It's such a happy
Oh,
coincidence.
that's all it
So he's
took.
like,
Who
I don't
knew?
need blood transfusions.
Just do a transfusion.
if you
You're not
wanna
a
get-
vampire anymore. Like, wow.
if you want to get stupid about it, it's like, but at the same time, bro, like, what about like blood types and stuff? Like, are you the same? Am I
What was his
thinking about
dad?
it too hard? Like, there's no way that little French blonde was the same blood type as freaking old Scar Chin.
I was going to say
don't
that,
know,
the dad makes sense, but yeah, this random person.
So you're saying
1,000%.
You could start a little Westworld for vampires and just be like, you get bit and you get to go in there and be a vampire for a while, and then on your way out, they just give you a transfusion. You're back to normal.
That's actually a dope idea, Brad.
Oh shit!
Let's start that.
I actually this is one of the things that I also kind of liked about this movie, though, is because it does kind of buck those. I like that they don't ever call themselves vampires, and they don't call anybody else vampires. At first I was irritated by it, but then I was like, oh, I kind of like that, this somehow doesn't exist in this universe. And then there's these different rules set up. And so I liked that, and I liked how the transfusion worked just because I wasn't expecting it. And actually that's why I kind of like the ending because I'm so prepped for a bad, bleak ending that this surprised me in the end, because I was like ready for something worse to happen. And so for all of those reasons, I just kept being surprised. And so I liked that part of it. And I just can't believe I can't believe the words that are coming out of my mouth.
All the good people survived. Like, that's not normal. You'd think the dad or somebody would die, but they're all happily ever after.
and the sunlight, I mean, it sort of burns them, but like it kind of burns through the clothes, but not really. And like, I'm like, how does sunlight work on vampires?
You just throw a blanket over you and you're good
That's
to
what
go.
I'm saying. Yeah. How does it? This like you have to get direct sunlight, but not. And I was so confused.
I thought they had a real thing. I'm sorry, Scott.
I'm just the very end was bothering me a lot because the little kid, the Homer, and the girl are both running down the road trying to get to Caleb or whatever. And Homer bursts into flames, and she's in the sun even longer than he is.
Just
she got a
smoking.
blanket.
She's a good person, though. That's the difference. Okay.
She's good,
Good-
and she's got
yeah.
Good
half a
people don't
blanket
burst
on
into
her.
flames.
bro.
Her head was exposed the whole time. I was watching, and I'm going, well, how come she's not on fire? Why is he on fire? Anyway.
And then they're
I
in the
have
car
to
and they
agree.
like light up.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I have to agree. That was something that was bothering me because the sun shined through the window and a little hole in someone's clothes, I don't remember who it was, it burst into flames. But then other people are running outside, even with a blanket. But it seems like just the ray through the window burst this person, even though they have clothes on, into flames. But this person's able to run. There just wasn't that consistency of, when are they supposed to burn up? When aren't they?
Because
Bill Paxton shoots through the door and kills that first cop, and that hole hits him in the chest, and he like flies back,
Exactly.
and is, like, burning like viciously just from that little ray of sunlight. And so it's like I don't know.
what I thought they were
going
to do, which would work great in that scene, is the cops think that they're shooting the bullets is what is going to get these guys, but it's really each hole in the side of the building,
Make
right?
it
And
light.
each time there's going to be a beam of light, and then pretty soon there's not going to be anywhere to hide, right? Have you guys seen the
Why was Caleb a super vampire though? Why did he get to run across the ground and like get shot and lay there for a while and get himself back up?
I have
and-
to think because he's new or
New
like
vampires.
not
Oh, that's true.
really a
New
vampire.
vampires.
Yeah,
That's
I
true.
mean I don't know, dude. Because they had to get to that shitty ending. That's why.
Yeah.
But
He had to get the fun band.
have you guys seen the Flanagan show Midnight Mass?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dude. So there's some cool scenes in that where there's like light coming through that like he literally like can't get to it because he's like gonna catch on fire. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I thought that's really where they were going with that scene, but didn't do it for me.
I thought about Blade, where they put the sunscreen on and they take all the old vampires and they have them like out there on the cliff and they all start burning up while they all have like the sunscreen on and they actually survive. Kind of cool.
Gotta have that SPF fucking
SPF
230,000.
233.
Did you guys know that the driver that gives Bill Paxton the finger when he's hitchhiking is played by James Cameron?
Oh, really?
He was just hanging around the set.
He was visiting the
throwing
set.
the vibe.
Yeah. He was
Putting
visiting
out
the
the
set that
vibe.
day.
So wait, were they already together when she was making this?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because she actually, when they like walk by a movie marquee in this movie, and Alien is on the.
I
on the
saw
movie
that.
marquee.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's a little subtle shout out to her.
That's
future
wild
hubby.
though. They're flirting through movies, like flirting with each other, just like I want to make this movie with your people, and oh yeah, here you can have my my crazy bartender dude that gets beat up, or my bar patron that gets beat up. You can have him.
It's so funny because I forget that James Cameron has made so many good movies that I like because I hate Avatar so much that I'm just like I like want bad things
Bro,
to happen.
All he wants to do is make avatars for the rest of his life.
I hate
I
Avatar,
hate
but
that
I saw it
fucking
in the
movie.
theater in 3D with the glasses on, and I was like, "This movie is fucking."
Scott, did you try to
amazing.
say in our text thread that you saw it when you were like 11?
What?
Did you
What?
say? Were you talking about Avatar? You said like I saw it when I was 11.
I wasn't talking about
He's
Avatar.
trying to-
Oh,
he's
what
trying to
movie were you
sell it like
talking
he's
about?
28 or something.
I swear, I thought I read it twice. You were talking about Avatar. Like I watched that when I was 11 in the theater.
It's all I'm on.
I don't remember where I was yesterday. I don't even know what you're
All
talking
right,
about.
let's kick it back to you, ladies. Where are we going with
Sorry, we're just hijacking.
these guys? Will just continue to talk.
These guys?
Did you
I don't
know
ever say anything out of turn.
that this was included among the American Film Institute's 2001 list of 400 movies nominated for the top 100 most heart-pounding American movies ever? And Entertainment Weekly ranked this as the 21st scariest movie of all fucking time.
Entertainment Weekly did that.
Yes.
When Katheryn Bigelow owned Entertainment Weekly or something? Like,
That
what
is
was going on?
so
James
fucking
Cameron did?
insane.
It legitimately, it makes me wonder whether or not we literally all watched the wrong movie. Like,
Pee-wee's Big Adventure is scarier than this movie. Like I could think of
Yeah. True.
so many fucking movies. That's insanity.
Okay, I will say, when we were, not only was my love for Bill Paxton part of this, like, Near Dark, let's watch this. I had heard that shit, that it was like critical, like people really loved it. Oh, it's this like this amazing piece of the 80s that people have not seen. And I was like, oh shit, maybe we should watch this.
It's like a huge practical joke.
I got half of what I wanted.
I mean, critics' scores are something that nobody should ever really base their viewing on anyway. But the audience scores were actually really good on this as well. Like the audience score on Metacritic was actually a 7.8. So like, I mean, it's like people like this movie too, which was really confusing. Like sometimes you'll see a critical score that's really high and an audience score that's like just garbage, or the opposite. Critics hate it and the audience loves it.
It's got to be
it's got to be nostalgia.
Yeah,
But if this was her training wheels for Point Break, though, I'm like, fuck yeah, good job. Good job. You got to Point Break, and from there on, we were getting great movies.
I forgive this because of what she did later.
She saw this. She like made this movie, and then she had Keanu, and she was like, "This guy's a thespian. This guy is really laying down some fucking real acting right now.
He's super restrained, really dialed in. Really understated.
How did Bill Paxton not get the what's his name's role? The other dude.
Oh, Gary Busey?
Gary Busey. Yeah, how did Bill Paxton not get Gary Busey's role?
Should have.
It would be great.
Damn it.
Have you guys seen Point Break? Tawny, have you seen Point Break?
No.
Tawny.
I haven't seen any of those movies that she's done.
I assume Felicia's seen it, but Tawny, so can we get real weird right now and be like, Tawny's like 26 years old? How old are you?
I'm 31.
I don't mean that in a so young. Okay. So, like,
says the non-40-year-old over here.
Yeah, I'm fucking the youngest of my pod, so it feels good, right, Tawny?
So much vitality, so much zest for life. Just kidding.
Yeah, I'm just grumpy as fuck.
But I'm saying there's like a whole 10 years of like late 80s, early 90s movies that you missed completely, right? Yeah,
but those are all so weird because like when we
they're
go
weird
back
to go back and watch them because people will tell you this is a great movie and you're like, oh, you watched this when you were 8 and you think this is a great fucking movie, right? Like that has to happen to you so much as a younger person.
Except
right?
Willow is amazing.
Willow's an amazing movie.
This does
These
happen.
girls watched the intro.
This does happen because we just talked about, again, Halloween 3 and the love for that movie online.
Yes.
Like, people love that movie, and I just keep thinking, have you seen it recently? Or are you thinking about the time that you watched it when you were 8 and you just remember the iconography? Like, Felicia and I talked about this in the episode. I get how you could feel like if you saw the pumpkin on the TV and the masks, you're like, that was a fun movie. That's all you remember. But go back and fucking watch it because it is not as good as you remember. Like,
Dude.
I mean, maybe there are people out there that like it, and I'm not trying to take anything away from them. Like, but yeah, this happens a lot, and but I think me as a person, I don't like this like zany. The 80s got real fucking zany, and that is not my thing. I don't like it, and so a lot of the 80s movies, I'm not a fan of.
I think
it's like when Scott watched Casablanca.
I think I experienced that with her though as well, when certain movies that she's seen when she was a kid and I was in high school that I didn't like it as much, and she has a real big nostalgic ties to it. And so we experienced that both ways. And I totally agree. There's some that just were really deep rooted. So even when I watched them again, like Poltergeist, I still liked Poltergeist. But whenever I'm going to revisit a movie, like I mentioned about The Hitcher earlier in this episode, I'm really nervous because I have these memories. So if I was to go on and rate The Hitcher right now based on my memories, it would be really high score. And I think you're absolutely right, Tawny, that people are thinking about, oh yeah, I fucking love that movie. And they go in and rate it. But they're not watching it again more recently.
If Nate watched The Silver Bullet right now, he would be like, what the fuck was I scared about? Like, that movie is like very tame as far as horror movies go.
Like, my 6-year-old self was just a little bitch.
You need to be like Tawny, and like she sat there and watched Large Marge like 7 times in a row to get herself acclimated. So if you watch Silver Bullet right now, all your old memories of like fear will go away.
But if I watch Fire in the Sky again, I'm gonna cry.
God, I fucking love that movie, and I have seen it and I still love it. You know what was amazing? Stop. Terrifying. It was amazing. I was so excited about this. We did some episodes during that month that is Mother's Day. And I don't remember which month that is, but we let our moms pick movies. And my mom picked The Bad Seed. And we watched it, and we both really liked that old ass movie, that black and white
From
movie.
the 50s, 56 or 53.
Really?
Yeah, we had fun.
Oh, I was thinking The Bad Son with Macaulay Culkin. I was thinking shit.
No, The Bad
That's
Seed.
the good son, bro.
Oh,
Good
The
Son.
Wicker Man too. That was one that we
also
had
really
so
liked that.
much freaking fun with that movie.
Yeah.
Dude,
Old school Wicker.
what is
old
going
school Wicker
on?
Man, right?
Yes.
Old school,
Oh, yes.
old
Not the,
school.
not the Nick Cage version.
But that's the one.
Not the bees.
But that's the one. There's like a whole scene where there's like a young Swedish lady in her room and she
Naked.
just like strips and
Yes.
is singing a song. That is the weirdest
It's fucking
fucking
great.
movie, right?
Yeah,
loved
it's
it.
so weird.
Oh, dude, I watched that
weird.
not too long ago, and I was like, "This is fucking wild right now." And people on the online are like, "This movie's so amazing," and I was like, "What is happening?" It's all of a sudden a musical, but like a nude musical is
so
super
fucking
weird.
fun, man. I have this. Tawny was singing the music from it. Dude, that was a fun episode.
I was.
Oh
Anyway,
my God.
we
Dude,
have
I'm
this
gonna have
thing.
to listen. You guys did an episode on Wicker Man?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
So
I'm gonna listen to
fun.
that. I can't fucking wait. That's
You-
awesome.
You guys were talking about Keanu Reeves, thespian actor, and I have this tidbit about Lance Henriksen. I thought was interesting. So according to Lance Henriksen, he prepared for his role of Jesse by coming up with a background for his character and acting it out. The origin story he came up with was that Jesse was in the Confederate Navy when he became a vampire. Henriksen painted his hair black with tar since that was an actual thing that seamen did in the 1800s. He then added broken fake nails to make his fingers look like the extensions of his fingers were bones, and he went to town at night like that in character. He managed to scare a waitress at Denny's and a hitchhiker twice his size he picked up on the road one night. The hitchhiker quickly asked to leave the car as soon as they drove up to the first inhabited area. So Henriksen, without revealing that he was just an actor messing with the guy, gave the man $80 that for being a good sport. Henriksen always jokingly adds that he was lucky because the guy could have beat the shit out of him.
That was a roller coaster for me. I was like, I hate this.
Straight
That's
up
annoying.
method acting, I guess.
And then they were like, he's like, okay, I got this whole character. And they're like, okay, you can say you fought for the South. That's it.
One line at the very end.
It's like, but I got this whole monologue.
I made this
about
whole
this.
backstory.
Also, can we just agree that that wasn't like that long ago? Like, I was like really disappointed by the length of time that he had been alive. I was just like, this is a trope in vampire things, and they always say something really, really, really fucking old. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, they were like Civil War.
Yeah,
It's
and was Homer the oldest? Was the kid the oldest?
No, he
vampire?
wasn't. I don't think so.
I think he was.
Because because the mom, the lady with the overexposed boobs, she was like Diamondback. She was like had like a motherly like thing towards that kid, right? Didn't you guys feel that?
yeah.
I felt like she, like maybe they picked that kid out and were like, we need a kid.
But
Let's
she
get this
said,
little
didn't she say
fucker."
something like it's got to be so hard being
Yeah,
so
I think
old in a child's body, right?
Right.
I think there's acceptance that like.
But even if
Homer's
he's
the oldest,
even if he's 100, that's still really old to be a fucking.
Right.
Yeah,
You don't
kid.
even have a pube.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
true.
that kinda sucks.
Because Severin and Jesse, when they were talking about, there was something when they were talking about the fire they started in Chicago. What is assumed is that they meant the
right.
Great
Oh, that's like
Chicago
the
of
1870s or shit,
1871.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep.
yeah, maybe they are the
wow.
oldest.
That's old.
Yeah.
It's like almost 100 years. They're like, you remember almost?
I have one last thing. It's so small, but it really made me giggle. And it was when the girl, May, says, "You see that star?" But you could barely tell what she was saying. She says, "When the light gets down,
She was mumbling.
when the light gets down here, it'll take 1 billion years for us to see it, and I'll still be here." And it's like, but you're fucking seeing the light. So really, like,
Right. I thought that
both
too.
of
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
are still here. Like, I was like, oh, we're off to a great start.
You're obviously
Here
still
we
here.
go.
Yeah.
Here
Oh,
we
yeah.
go.
And then he gives him his spur. It's like, is that some big sign in cowboy shit? Like, hey, you got my spur. And he's like, I need my spur back at the end. Like,
Yeah,
what's going
what?
on here?
I don't know what.
Like, do boys trade spurs in Texas? I don't know.
There was so much that didn't make sense. Like it took us, like, we had to kind of rewind a few times and see, like, what the fuck was going on. Like, when they burned their RV, I was like, why are they burning this
Why?
RV?
Yeah.
What? You guys
Perfectly
weren't
nice
even
RV.
seen in the RV.
Because Loy and the girl, they saw him pick him up in the RV, and they knew they're going to be looking for the RV, so they had
Plus
to.
that thing, the undercarriage of that thing after driving through that field, just wrecked.
I did get there, Brad. I figured, okay, maybe it's because they saw the RV, but why wouldn't you just, okay, I'll accept that. I'll accept it. And you burn down the RV, sure. Why wouldn't you just steal another RV? Why are you going to steal a station wagons with like 87 fucking windows? I was like, that doesn't,
Thank you.
why?
It was like he was looking for the car with the most windows.
Yes.
And then they were like, every time it's a surprise that the sun is fucking coming
Right.
up.
Why don't they
This
put-
happens every fucking night. You're 1,000 years old. Why not fucking tape
Spray
the
it.
windows up and get this shit all set up before we take off in the fucking station wagon? What is happening?
You should have a better
it's
system for this
fucking-
for sure.
Go, go, go. And the lights go. Like, you're right.
Yeah.
This is every
Are
fucking
you going to
day
stop
this
talking
happens.
or are you
Every
going to
fucking
tape
day.
the window?
Also, that scene where they're like driving the RV and shit's crazy, and the soundtrack is like like it's just
Sounds like the intro to fucking Seinfeld. It's like
so intense, and they're like, you're right, careening. There's fucking dust everywhere. It's crazy town. And then they're like, they drive into a like garage, and they're like, okay, nap time. It was like the fucking like tonal shift between that made me laugh so hard. We had to rewind and watch it like 3 times, and then we joked about it the entire movie because it was just like so. I was like, there had to have been a scene cut from in between these two scenes. This was crazy.
Have we considered the possibility that this is just a spoof? That like this is meant as to be a full parody?
So that was Lisa, my wife's commentary. She was like, the first like 5 minutes, I was like, oh, this is like a comedy horror movie.
Yeah.
I get it.
not
I get it.
serious.
This is gonna be fucking like they're gonna not take themselves too seriously. And then about 8 minutes later, she was like, just fucking turn it off.
I was gonna say, have any of y'all seen Starship Troopers?
Yes.
One of the greatest movies of all time.
So the main actor in Starship Troopers reminds me a lot of Caleb. Like they kind of look alike, and kind of the wooden acting, like
Bro.
both of them.
The guy from Starship Troopers is the most handsome man that has ever walked the planet.
Doesn't he kind of look like Caleb?
How could
a
you?
little bit?
No,
He
dude.
kind of looks like him.
Ladies, back me up on this.
I have to-
The guy from Starship
forgot what-
Troopers.
I know.
I
I have
forgot
to.
what his name is in
I have to
Starship
look it up
Troopers.
too.
Look it up. Starship
It's
Troopers.
Casper Van
Casper
Dien.
Van Dien or whatever.
Yeah, Casper Van Dien.
yeah.
Yeah.
He is a handsome man.
He
And
looks a little bit like Caleb.
He is
You
not
are
the most
tripping, dude.
handsome man. He is not the most handsome
Felicia.
man. No.
Definitely not.
No.
I can't say.
No.
I
you have-
one last little.
Do you have
little-
Denise Richards up there too? She's in that movie too. The most beautiful
yes.
woman to ever walk the earth.
Okay.
They had both of the most beautiful people in the world in that movie.
I see what you're
No.
saying. Now that I
In
see a young picture, it took me a
1991.
minute to find a younger picture.
You're looking at 55-year-old Casper Van
No, I see
Dien.
him. He's
Yeah.
no. Okay, look.
Come on,
He's
Felicia.
handsome. Oh, for love of God, he is handsome, but he is no Charlie Hunnam. He is no Ryan Gosling. He's a nice looking man. He's a nice looking
We like
man.
Jax Teller, do we?
I'm just saying
Gotcha.
he looks
Oh,
like
yeah, I
the
do.
guy in this movie. I agree with that. He does look similar.
He's
They
handsome.
have,
my
have
God.
similarities. There you go.
Yeah.
By the way, we did a sexiest male
We
draft.
did. We did sexiest man in a movie.
And we failed.
And Zach, I don't remember you choosing Casper.
No, but I should have.
Yeah, you should.
Casper Van Dien.
Who won?
Judged us and
Our
they
wives, our wives were the judges of the draft. I can't remember who won.
I think the quote was
You all
there are
won.
no winners here.
Yeah, it
No,
was,
I
it was
think,
pretty
I think
tough.
our old friend who's
They
on
were
the
like, "You
pod,
guys
he
have
won.
no idea what makes a attractive male," and we were like, "Isn't it abs?" And we were like, "No, it's not."
Who won that? Do you remember who won?
We remember it was our buddy Nick who used to be on the pod, but we kicked him out.
Whoever
Because of
picked
this?
Vin Diesel did not win.
I might have picked a lot of bald guys.
Nate picked Vin Diesel and Jason Statham,
Oh, those
and
are
his wife was like, "I'm not really into bald guys."
Oh
It
no!
was fucked up. It was kind of rough.
It's kind of it was kind of hard.
Oh
night.
shit!
I'm joking.
A little bit of PTSD.
Nate is bald for those of you who can't see him. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
allegedly.
yep.
If you're thinking about our pod, chances are you're thinking about a bald guy, except for Brad, who has braids.
One last little piece of trivia is Caleb in real life ended up marrying Natalie Maine from the Chicks,
Oh, the Dixie Chicks.
and he directed
the
a couple
Chicks,
of
bro.
their videos.
Oh, sorry,
Kind of wild.
I didn't mean to. Be
Wow.
And they're now no longer a couple, but they had I think a couple kids together too.
She's got a sick
He
voice,
was
bro.
also the president in Heroes, the TV show.
Oh shit, he looked so familiar to me. That
was,
must be what it was. Yeah.
It was killing me. The whole first half of the movie,
Me
I was
too.
like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" I finally IMDb'd in the middle of the movie because I was bored of watching
You're
the
like,
movie.
he's in Starship Troopers, but who else is
He
he?
wasn't in Starship Troopers.
He was a
No,
handsome
that's
kid.
Heroes.
When it first started, I was like, all right. I don't mind
Yeah.
this.
Well,
And
Really?
then,
Yeah, but then
it
he just got
kept
he got
going.
so creepy and rapey and,
Oh,
and
yeah.
just it's like you're supposed to root for this guy.
Isn't that how you used to do it in the 80s?
Well,
drop your keys down your shirt.
I'm gonna
I
leave
ain't
you
taking
out here
home.
if you don't kiss me.
You don't kiss me.
Yeah, right.
so bad.
Scotchback's truck would always break down on the canal somehow.
I don't know why.
Definitely no Skarsgård from True Blood.
Oh no.
Oh, okay. You like him or the Bill, the brother Bill? I think the brother Bill's pretty handsome too.
I
no?
think so too. Yeah. I think I would
Yeah.
I would pick him over Alexander
Andrew's
Skarsgård.
a little too classically handsome for me.
Oh, he's-
you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh yeah,
Yummy.
you need that
Vampires,
unconventional. Yeah.
I don't even
Yeah.
remember
Little-
who the brother is in that. Wait, are you talking about True Blood?
I'm talking about his real brother in real life that plays
Oh,
the
Bill.
clown in It.
Oh,
He plays
yeah.
Pennywise in It.
Oh,
and he
yes,
plays
I'm sorry.
The guy at the very beginning of Barbarian.
Oh, I know who he
The
is.
girl meets him at the house. Yeah,
I love
He's
him,
great.
but I didn't
Yeah.
mind the Northman. I'm just saying.
Oh, dude.
It beat your
How wild
Super
is
Trooper
that?
guy, 100%.
Dude, fucking Eggers. I was so excited for Northman, and then I bought it before we even watched it. Oh, yeah,
Oh,
blind
blind
bought
buy?
it. I was like, I'm going to love this movie. I love fucking this director. I love Anna Taylor-Joy. I love everybody involved in this. And then I was kind of let down a little bit. But, I mean, he was super handsome. But what the fuck, man?
I liked it, but I didn't love
it.
it. And Eggers is my favorite, and
Yeah.
I was really excited.
There's no way
too.
that movie's not a home run, right? Like I was like,
Yeah.
this, if there was ever a movie for me, like there's fucking sword fighting and Anna Taylor-Joy and fucking Eggers, like I'm gonna love this movie
The
so
preview
much.
looked badass.
And Nicole
Dude,
Kidman.
I
I
just-
love Nicole Kidman too.
Dude, are you kidding me?
It was your aloha for me.
It is. It's my aloha.
Camera.
Is it time for us? Do we get to give our 2 decimal place rating?
Yeah, are you guys ready?
quit
Does
trying to
anybody
be the-
else have anything else they want to share about this movie?
We could talk all night about this shit as evidence.
I have one question. I have one question because I did write it down and I think we should talk about it. Is what constitutes a Western?
More than just a fucking skittish horse.
A
Like,
revolver with a cross on the butt of the
I
gun.
think that's it. Yeah.
so
Cowboy hat.
I think you
And dirt.
I think if you want a Western, you have to have
A lot
much
of dirt.
more like 6-shooter fights, some rifles, less cars that are driving across fields. Like, what are we doing? It was like Western horror, and I was like, cool. And the first scene is him just mobbing in his truck, and I'm like, what is going on here? I thought this was a Western.
How did the
Right?
cops find him at the motel? Like, did they give any clue why
the
that
kid
happened?
the kid turned him in. The last victim at the bar.
Yeah, he was
Oh,
in the
right,
back
because he
He was
seat.
in the
escaped.
back seat.
He escaped, yeah.
He was in the back seat of that car.
But he knew what motel they went to.
That was weird. How he knew where they were. That was weird. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, and cops bring the kids to the shootout. That's kind of fun.
You just
That was
you
weird,
just
too.
follow the big cloud of dust. Wherever that is, they went.
Right.
Well, so can I offer an amendment? So, what makes a movie a Western that's not set in like traditional American, the traditional like American West or frontier type place, right? Because this is clearly not quite that, right? Like, I mean, you get a little bit of the sort of like Western stuff, but I don't think that's what they mean, right? It's a Western in some other way, kind of like the way space movies sometimes are Westerns.
I think it's the
So, like, what would
Cowboys,
make it a
at which
so you think it's actually the cat like the real sort of westerny stuff?
Just putting the cowboy hat on.
Cowboys.
Yeah, I think that they classified this as a Western because of the cowboys. Like they're like real cowboys, like the boys with the
listen,
hats
we have a horse. We got a
the
spur.
cowboy boots, and
There's spurs. Yeah, there's
Yeah, to call it a neo-western. I mean, like if you think of like neo-westerns that have recently come out, the what is it, the dog one?
Proud of a dog pride.
the dog one.
It was the dog that came out on Netflix.
Passion of the dog. What is it called?
Zach, you watched the dog movie. What is it? Temple of the Dog? Talking about neo-westerns that just recently came out. What was the one on Netflix?
I didn't watch that one.
Sherlock Holmes.
No,
the
my
power
dad-
of the dog. The power of the dog.
Power of the dog.
You were close.
My-
You were close.
Oh, I
I do
saw
like how-
this. Oh, yes, I saw this long movie.
So I don't know if that had horses and cowboy hats or what.
Yeah,
but,
these
like,
guys were
I think
cowboys.
they were filming this, and I think about like 3/4 of the way through, they're like, "Shit, this is a Western vampire movie.
Yes.
Let's slash some tires and make them ride into town on a
On a
horse."
horse.
And now it's a fucking cowboy movie.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he didn't even do anything cool on his horse.
I
He
know.
rolled in on his horse and then he
Because
just
the horse
like
is
got
scared
off.
of vampires. He gets bucked off. And then remember, he tried to, at the very beginning, he tries to introduce May to his, and the horse
I know.
goes nuts.
I remember. That's when I was like, oh, it's going to be a Western now. And then it was like, nope.
No, RVs and bars and.
I don't know.
I was wondering why
consider-
they were
have you guys-
driving around, why they were up during the day so much. Like I thought vampires, like what Tawny, what you were
Terrible
saying, how they
vampires.
were driving around and then they just went to sleep. And I'm like, why don't you fucking flip that? Like be up and then like go sleep during the day. Anyways, just a random thought. Sorry, Zach, I
They
interrupted
didn't
you.
have the coffins or anything.
They didn't have coffins. What the fuck?
Yeah, I had some serious issues.
I do. One of my favorite tropes of 80 movies, though, is that 80s movies is that you can just hitchhike wherever you want, and everybody's just like, "Fuck yeah, I'll pick up a hitchhiker. I don't give a shit." And you can just hitchhike wherever you want to go.
I like how they picked up those hitchhikers though, and they were like, "Oh, just kidding." Like you think you put us in danger? We're
Right.
vampires. I liked that moment too. It was a good reverse.
That was one of the better scenes of the whole movie.
What about the dude driving the big rig where he's like, "Oh yeah, teaching him how to shift and stuff. This got 16 gears." Like he's all getting all into it.
Those two scenes, yeah, the hitchhiker one where he reaches and turns the volume up. You think he's gonna turn the car off?
Yeah.
I'll take that. I'll take that 1 2 second section of it.
I didn't
Sure.
appreciate when he eats the candy bar and immediately has to spit it out, yet they're constantly drinking and smoking cigarettes.
Oh yeah, good
like-
call.
So we can ingest some human stuff, but just not fucking sugar? Maybe they're just fucking, maybe they're just diabetic.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I also liked that truck driver because I could understand what he was saying.
Me too. I
was
liked his
exciting.
scene. Yeah, I felt like he was good. He was a good actor too. Of the good
He
actors,
was good.
He was good. I liked his whole thing, and then I was sad he died because I was like, I like this guy.
I thought the best actor in the movie was the guy that was like leaning over with the knife with the Diamondback, and he was like, "Oh, she's so pretty. We got ourselves a great one tonight." Woo-hoo." That shit was wild. I was like, "This guy is going."
He
for
looked
it.
familiar too. I couldn't figure out where I saw him from, but I didn't look it up.
Just
But he looked familiar.
I love like just insane confidence from somebody who knows about to die, and you're just like, "Oh man, this guy really thinks."
Well,
he's
and
got
Lance
him."
Henriksen loves delivering lines where it's like, "You're about to die," because he does the same thing when he locks the door of the bar. And he's like, "This is gonna be the last night of your life," or whatever the shit he says. He's just like, he likes delivering those death lines.
Yeah, listen, I also want to say that some of the dialogue in this was fucking awful. Crazy Town, who wrote this? But some of it was fucking gold. Some of it.
Yeah.
Gold?
And I was like,
Gold level?
gold.
Oh,
Like, yeah,
shit.
some of it was real good.
Gold. Not like copper. But you're
no,
like gold.
like all the
All
way
right.
gold. Like
What
maybe
gold?
not platinum.
Bill Paxton-
maybe
What
not
gold?
platinum, but
Bill
gold.
Paxton talking shit about all the liquor in the bar just constantly is one of my favorites, when he's just going off. What kind of shit swill they got in this town or whatever.
Yes.
Felicia, how good would it be if Tawny was like, some of the dialogue in this movie was bronze. It
Yes,
was
I
definitely
would
bronze.
love that. Bronze.
Third, yeah, fourth tier level. No, I like when he comes in the bar and he says, oh shit, this is shit kicker heaven. Like, I thought that was a good line. And
it wasn't. There was like 5 people in there, or like 4 people at the
2
most.
of them were bikers. None of them were shit kickers. I was like, okay, be careful, bro.
right. Well, but that's the point. He's trying to be,
Billy P.
divisive. And I liked
Trying
when
to
he
piss 'em
also
off.
says, like, I hate it when they ain't been shaved when he goes to drink from it. I just liked it.
Gold?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That is Bill Paxton doing
I'll
work.
take it.
I
I'll take it.
stand by it. I stand by it.
And I'll say, I just, and it seems like it's about 2 minutes that bartender's trying to put shells into the shotgun, and it seems like it took forever. Like they cut away to like I think the waitress getting her throat slit. He's still trying to put those shells in. And finally, he clicks it over and blasts.
And he didn't
Caleb.
initially have any shells in there, right? Like that wasn't the reload.
No, that was it wasn't already loaded. He had to load it the first time.
What bartender has a gun behind the counter that
That's
doesn't
not already
is not
loaded?
fucking loaded in Texas? That's possibly the most unbelievable part of the entire movie.
This is true. This is true. All right. All right, y'all. Does anybody else have anything that they want to share? Now's your chance.
Don't ask that. Don't.
Okay,
We'll
no.
keep fucking going.
I'm trying to think of my number right now.
No.
Okay, so
I got my number already written down.
let's go ahead and move into rating. So the scoring is out of 5. You could use 2 decimal points. So whenever you're ready, is everyone ready with their score?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and start with Zach.
Okay, so I gave this movie a 2.88.
Oh, all right.
2.88, and that is because if this movie is done in any way competently, I think I really like it. And I think that I can't give it any lower than a 2 because I think the story was okay. I didn't love the ending. I think the story was okay, and I didn't think it was completely incoherent. Like, I've watched some really bad movies. It wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen by any means. And then I gave it another 0.88 because I really like synth weird 80s soundtracks.
Complained about the synth the entire time.
I think they just did it terribly.
You complained about.
I know.
You led with your.
I know
complaint
you
about
led
it.
with that.
And they did it so bad that I was like, at least they tried. I give them like 0.88 effort on the soundtrack. They tried really hard. They failed fucking miserably, but they tried.
I did not see that coming.
I respect
That's
it.
what I'm going
I
with.
respect it.
2.88. I thought about that a lot.
All right. Well, I want to give. I want to first of all point out that this would be way better if it was out of 10. Just saying. And then, but since I'm boxed into this bullshit 5-point scale, thank God there's decimal points.
Oh,
Because I would have had to choose between a 0 or a 1.
oh man.
Wow.
That's low, dude.
And so here's my thing. I hated everything everyone else hated about the movie, and I thought that there's no version of this that's good.
But
Like,
0 would be there's no movie. Like you didn't watch anything and you gave it a 0.
right. Okay. So I gave it a 0.73.
That's great. Oh man, we've never
was
had
so
anything
bad.
scored that low. Oh yeah, Tawny scored Halloween 3 lower than that. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean the acting terrible. The story is non-existent. Like all of the editing and visuals are silly. Okay. The synth is terrible. Okay. And there's essentially no redeeming dialogue. It's just it's a shit heap. The only thing that I can say for it is that it actively make me feel bad.
Oh,
Like
that's worth 0.7.
There was I'm going to give it 0.73 for the transfusion. I kind of like the transfusion. I was like, it gave me a happy ending, and it was a fun twist, even if poorly executed on the vampire, and that's the only redeeming thing.
I think that's going to be the lowest score of the evening.
Yeah. I was thinking about it, and I actually I had a score in mind, and I decided to give it a whole point on top of my score because half the cast of Aliens was in this. I was just waiting for Michael Biehn to show up and maybe even the rapey guy from Shawshank. What was that guy's character?
One of the sisters.
Boggs. Yeah.
Boggs.
Yeah, because he was in Aliens too. But then I realized that this wasn't Aliens, and so I took that point away. And I'm giving this a 1.27 is what I'm giving it.
Wow.
Because I literally was so bored at one point. I kept checking to see how much more I had to sit through. My biggest problem is the lack of a lead character that you want to root for. I did not like and that's something that's so important to me in any movie I watch. I have to like a main character and want to root for them and want them to succeed. He was so nothing and such a dirtbag and such his whole thing with her in the car and like taking the keys out and you got to kiss before we go. That shit made me hate him from the beginning, and I had no hero to root for, which made this movie pretty much just pointless.
I really, really want you to watch Halloween 3. Is what I want you to watch.
Don't worry, he'll read the Wikipedia.
No, I listened to their
summary later.
podcast already. I know, and actually, it made me want to watch it because I knew that it would be super fun. And yeah, so anyway, 1.27 is my score.
Did you watch it
All
alone?
right, so-
Remind me.
What was that?
Did you watch it completely alone?
This movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I watch all of my movies alone. I'm by myself all the time.
Why do you think he has such sad songs on his album?
Tawny.
Can't write a fucking emo anthem.
I just think that doesn't, if you're not alone, it adds to the
Right.
fun experience
Absolutely.
of watching. Yeah.
We would have had a great time.
We
as
would have
said.
had so much
It would have
fun
been fun
watching
watching
this
this shit together. I'm really surprised that I'm going to give a lower rating than Zach. Like I can't.
Oh,
believe
wow.
I can't believe I'm actually doing that. But Scotch was just saying taking away points, adding points. I started thinking of that, and like Bill Paxton, I'm trying to think of like how much he's going to add to my score. Because I love Bill Paxton, and he just goes absolutely apeshit in this movie, and it's just wide-eyed and coked up, and it's so fun. And so I think I'm going to have to give this a 1.86, not a 1.87. Because there wasn't enough murdering and violence. Like, you can't give it a 1.87, so I'm going to go 1.86. And it's just, I don't know. I was surprised how trashy this movie was, as much as I had thought that this was supposed to be some like classic and even cult classics. You expect that there's gonna be like a little bit of like, oh, it's gonna be like kind of rough, but this was just like, holy shit, like how did we put this together and think that it was gonna be an amazing movie? Like, I don't know. Lost Boys, I'm 100% on board with Lost Boys. If you want to watch a 1987 vampire movie, go check out Lost Boys because it's outstanding. This is if you like Bill Paxton, watch it. If you don't,
Just
stay
a
away.
reminder, folks. Brad chose this movie. Just so
I mean, kind of, yeah. I
You give it a
I edged us towards
1.87.
that.
I can't believe that. All right.
I know.
ladies,
I'm
wanna
really
know what you
shocked.
guys
I'm
gave
really
this
shocked,
movie.
Brad, at how low you went because I felt like
Thank
you were
you.
defending this movie.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I will say, just it's like you have to accept, like, as much as I kind of had fun with it, it would have been us watching it together, me just talking mad shit the entire time and just trying to laugh because that's what you get out of this movie. Watching it by myself, just like it did nothing for me.
It's fair.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Especially because I'd seen the bar scene already previously. And it was like there was nothing in that movie that did anything for me outside of that bar scene. I don't know. That's where I'm at.
All right.
All right, my turn. I'm going to give this a 1.3. And the reason why is because I did enjoy it more than Otis, because I when I watched Otis, I felt angry at all the stuff going on. Where I didn't feel angry with this one, it was making me laugh. But I gave Halloween 3 a 1.5, and that it was ridiculous, but I had nostalgia wrapped into it, and I did enjoy how much I laughed. Where I agree with this one, there were parts where I was getting bored, And I would look down and then I'd look up because he's still walking. And then I'd look down and then I'd look up and then like, oh shit, why is that happening? And I'd rewind it a couple frames to see why that's why that's happening.
Is he still limping?
Yeah. So I'm going to give this a 1.3. I did enjoy Halloween 3 more than this one.
I will say,
Holy
as far as
crap.
the boredom, it's like the May, the girl, the actress that plays May. The only thing I knew her from was in Pink Floyd The Wall. She's the groupie that goes home with Pink at one point, and he's
Wanna
like,
take a bath?
yeah, she's like she's saying all the lines from the album.
The shirt. Look at it. Tawny's wearing Pink Floyd The Wall.
Oh fuck yeah! Oh shit! How did I not even realize that the entire time?
That's amazing.
Dude, that's a great callback because yeah, she's in the movie and she's just like, want to take a bath? Are these your guitars? And she's like the dumb American groupie. And in this movie, she's just kind of like, she's not a great actress, and you can tell why she didn't go on to much else because just not a lot there.
I can't believe that Felicia gave it that low of a score. All right, Tawny, what are we doing here? Am I the highest on this fucking movie?
You guys,
This is
again,
blowing my mind.
hold on. I'm coming in Zach's, but I also was going to mention this and then decided not to because I felt like it wasn't relevant. But now that you've brought up Pink Floyd The Wall, and I'm wearing a Pink Floyd The Wall t-shirt, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time, I want to say that one of the things that I thought of after we recorded about the draft episode, I thought one of the things that I should have put down on my list for the scariest scene in a non-horror movie should have been the kids marching into the meat grinder in Pink Floyd The Wall.
Oh shit!
Great
That's a
call.
classic. Yeah, 100%.
And I'm fucking mad.
even some of the imagery.
I didn't
when
think of
they beat the dude's head in like with the bats, like
Yeah.
that part always used to fuck me up a little when I watched this when I was little.
There was a few scary scenes in that movie that was like he opens the door in his to his mom's room and it's a skeleton in the bed or something like
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
Is also kind of
Yep.
crazy. Yeah, that movie's fucked up. Pink Floyd The Wall
Yeah.
is a weird damn movie.
Yep,
Love
for
it.
sure.
I was like, we need to watch this again just today
Yep.
because I was thinking about it again. But okay, I'm gonna give this. And Zach, thank God you went first and you gave me the bravery because I was like, what am I gonna rate this?
She was rethinking it.
I was like, should I lower my score to match everybody else's? But no,
No.
I'm not one to give in to peer pressure. I'm gonna give this a 2.5.
God damn, I am the highest.
You are the highest, but I'm close. I'm close to yours. And I do think there are some redeeming parts to this movie. And Felicia and I have talked about this before, how we kind of have a different like ranking system for how we like movies. And for me, story and the idea is like king. So if you have bad acting and everything else kind of sucks, like I will like the movie more than Felicia. Felicia acting is king.
Yeah.
And so if that's out, she's fucking out. So I think you can kind of see that in this rating system. And so I liked it. I want somebody to remake this movie because I felt like there was a lot of good here. It just wasn't executed well. But actually the fact that it was her first outing as a director and they were like, we're going to kick you the fuck out. And she was like, I'm sticking to this, makes me actually appreciate it even a little bit more. Right. So.
Yeah.
And I could see the people on set being like, this isn't that bad. They couldn't hear the synths. They were like, this is okay. It's not too bad.
This is cool.
I love that the music fucked it up that much for you.
And yet,
I really
it was
didn't.
part of how
I
think about
loved
it.
the fucking ambition of it. Like they were like, we're just gonna fucking put music.
I just
all
thought of
over
the
this shit.
Terminator. That's all I could think of. It was like, oh, this is pretty much the Terminator synth.
And because I'm a little bit too drunk to do formulas properly, and I make computer sounds, and that's what you heard earlier. That was weird. I did manage to figure out an average of the BVK scores was a 1.685,
Wow.
which rounds up to 1.69 because we can't have 3 decimal points. So 1.69 is our average score.
169.
Wow.
169.
That is
Okay.
low.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah,
For a
so
movie that we picked.
Aren't you glad we nominated this movie?
I was so worried about my ranking of this movie, and I was the highest. That's
You had to go
fucking
first. That was
wild.
tough to go first.
Okay, Zach,
'Cause you
but
didn't know where to
do you
put
feel
the,
better?
the
that
barometer.
I was close.
I feel 100% better. I feel way better.
All right, I felt better.
I like that. I liked it the best.
Ours is higher. It's
thought they-
1.9. So
I thought you guys were going to convince me that this movie was dope.
Yeah,
I appreciate that you have that much respect for
was
us that
like,
you thought we could
They have
convince
The
you that this
confidence.
was
have to-
dope.
Yeah.
I was like, this must have gone completely over my head right now.
This legit makes me
obviously I didn't get this at all.
This legit makes me want to look up like other podcasts that have done Near Dark to see if there's like idiots that are like fawning over like, oh, you know, the artistic and like doing all that bullshit, because it's like no, if you watch this on just as absolutely objectively, it's not a great movie.
No other podcast has ever done this movie. First, and second,
bullshit.
Second,
there's a billion podcasts.
Second. It was like we were invited to a potluck and they're like, bring your favorite dish, or bring a dish, and then we brought like a shitty like macaroni and like chicken casserole with weird cheese on it,
on a platter.
And they're like, oh,
like,
did you like this is your favorite? And we're like, no, we hate this.
No,
it's gross.
We asked you to bring your favorite fucking plate, and we were like, no, we fucking hate this.
It's like we went to the New
We
York
want you to
Times.
try it, and then we're gonna laugh at you when you spit it out.
It's like we went to the New York Times. They're like, "Oh, this is the cool appetizer that somebody like learned about in like Zimbabwe," and
Well,
like,
cool,
"Oh, we'll make that." And then we brought it, and we're like, "Oh, god damn!"
It was like the video that I sent you guys the other day of the people catching mosquitoes and then pressing them into a patty and cooking them. And I was like, that is the most disgusting thing that I've ever seen.
Felicia's like, oh, you guys really like this? I'm like, we don't know. We never tried it before.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, thanks for inviting
sounded
us.
weird. I don't know.
Thanks for inviting us to your potluck. Here's our mosquito patties.
Thanks. Oh my
So anyway, there you
god,
go.
that's amazing.
I don't
You're
know why
welcome.
you guys didn't just let Zach pick the. Yeah, that is beyond
They
me.
didn't even ask me.
In hindsight,
They didn't ask me because they thought I was going to pick something scary. But even though I made these guys watch, these guys would have never watched Hereditary if I hadn't forced them to watch it. They watched it, and I think all kind of
They
dug
liked
it,
it, yeah.
even though they didn't like watch it as scared as when I watched it. I was much more scared. I don't know.
well, yeah, because we watched it on a
When you
couch
watch it as a
together.
group, when you watch it like with two big guys on either arm, like just kind of just with your arms around both of them, it makes all that shit doesn't really scare me when I have you guys around.
I said it was a public service announcement for EpiPens.
You know what we almost did? We threw this idea around a little bit and they were like, no, let's just let them pick. Because you asked us, what movie are we watching or do we pick? We wanted to because we really like you and you guys are so funny. We wanted to make you watch Antichrist. And we wanted to hear your thoughts on that. And then we're like, okay, we don't know them that well. We don't want them to hate us. That's okay. We'll just let them
Yeah.
pick.
No, hey, future pod, you guys need to pick something fucked up for us to watch.
It would have been the same scores.
No,
the same scores from all four of
I
us.
want y'all to pick something fucked up, and the next time we come on, we're gonna do something just outrageous. and
Okay.
see what happens.
Next time you guys are doing a pod and you're like, God, I wish someone would talk over me right now.
Let's have those
Let's
guys
call
on.
the BVK guys. Sorry.
Okay, we're gonna have you on again. We'll pick something real
Yeah.
fucked up, and that would be
yes.
so much
I
fun.
can't wait.
We absolutely adore you. My face hurts from just laughing and smiling
Me
so
too.
much. I think Nate's trying to say something, and I'm talking over him. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say that they're gonna invite us to their potluck and then they're gonna give us something that gives us dysentery. Is this good? No, we knew it was gonna give you dysentery. We just wanted to laugh when we watched you shitting yourself.
But we'll
I'd shit myself for them. I would.
I,
I would shit myself for you guys.
Thank you.
Oh, it's so sweet.
That is sweet.
That comes from here, right?
He's gonna write a song about that now. It's called Shitting
I mean,
myself
shit myself
for you.
for you.
You probably need us to sign a contract before you guys assign us a movie and say you must watch this individually, like in the dark.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, we're gonna sit on a couch and hold hands, and we're just gonna laugh the entire time.
Yeah, I'm so mad that
Unfortunately.
you guys watched High Tension together, but you did not watch this movie together.
I know.
It's a fact.
This one would have been fun together.
We would have instantly because it's so boring at the beginning. It's so slow.
I watched it this morning. I was like watching a bunch of golf. And then I put this movie on. And I was like,
Go back to golf.
You're like, I need to go back to something exciting. Golf.
golf is exciting, guys.
I love golf.
down a little.
I love golf.
Thank you.
I love watching it. I don't play it, but I
thank
love
you.
watching it. Oh man.
Thank
Both
you.
are fun.
Seriously, thanks for having us on though. You guys are
Good.
great.
Great.
And it's been a really good time.
We love you guys. You guys are so much fun. Just like right from the start, as soon as we all fucking logged in, it was fun already. And it was just such a blast. Why don't you share where can people find you? All of that, your social links, all that good stuff.
Brad knows all those.
For you guys.
We have an Instagram, we have a Twitter, and they're both BVK Podcast, at BVK Podcast. We have a Facebook, at Bez Video Kingdom. And if you wanted to email us some shit, it'd be at Bez Video Kingdom.
No, there's no. It's just Bez Video
Oh,
Kingdom.
Bez Video Kingdom at Gmail.
They do host us. Yeah.
That's
What?
how
You
you
guys should.
emails.
Anybody that wants to send us something. We're just waiting.
Yeah, so we were pretty active on our socials. So like, especially Facebook, you're going to get a response. Usually something snarky.
There's nothing more fun than when somebody sends us something and then the group text lights up and it's like, hey, look at this. Somebody sent us this.
Yes,
and then we're like, oh, tell them this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so,
And anybody that loves Bill Paxton, hit us up because we also love Bill Paxton.
You may have thought we were slandering Billy P today, but that is not what we were doing.
and you can listen to Bez Video Kingdom on wherever you get your pods. So Apple, Spotify, Anchor. I don't know where else do people listen to pods.
I think we actually make like 0.001 more sense if you listen on Spotify. So check that shit out.
Spotify.
Yeah, that's us.
Yeah, definitely check them out. It's so much fun. Their episodes are so much fun. And it's fun messaging them as well because it's like, hey, by the way, this is Nate. Hey, by the way, this is Zach. Oh, hey, Scott here. Hey, it's Brad now. It's just like
Yeah.
boom, 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 boom. You just never know who you're talking to. It's a lot of fun.
I was just telling somebody about that. It's like when you're Instagramming or messaging from it's our Bez Video Kingdom account. Like the fact, that we have to hey, this is me and this is what I say. So fucking corny, but that's how you have to do it.
I just see all of it. I don't ever say anything. I just see all the back and forth, and I'm like, these guys are doing
That's
great.
because you're the talent. You don't have to do shit.
These guys are doing awesome.
Oh my God. All right. We love you guys. Thank you again so much for being on our show. We are honored that you are on our show. Can't wait to share it with the world. And if you would like to get in touch with us, you can find us at 2 Chicks and a Horror Flick on Instagram or 2chicksandahorrorflick.com. If you go to either of those places, you can link out to all the other places we're on. So you could pick your favorite social media platform. We're there. Also links to our episodes and links to our horror Discord community so that we can connect with you. We absolutely love chatting with people in that space. And what else, Tawny?
You can support the show by going to our Patreon or giving us a like, review, and subscribe on whatever podcatcher you're listening to us on. But that's it. We'll see you next week, and we hope you have such a good night. No nightmares.